starting to stream.
Yes, I thought this was a PG show. Come on.
I don't usually use profanity. I use withering sarcasm instead.
Withering sarcasm is
PG
better.
show, and you brought up Russian vids, Phil?
All right, here we go, folks. All right, welcome back, everyone. Here we go yet again. We've got a couple of things on the board, and we'll see how many we actually get through. We got a couple of flat earthers you may be familiar with. We've got Odd Reality with 21 questions, and well, here it goes. Russian vids. There, I said it. Complaining about the SpaceX Falcon 9 launch, the secret spy satellite Freemason hoax. And then at this time, we're finally going to find out the science behind homeopathy, how homeopathy works. Those are our selections for the evening. That's what we got. So, that being the case, what do you think we ought to start with? You want to? Russian Vids is really light fare. He's pretty much self-debunking. You want to answer? Should we look at 21 questions first, or you guys want to go with Russian Vids? What do you think?
Ooh, 21 sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a
21.
Yeah, nice number considering I'm not that far from Atlantic City. All right, everybody knows how this works. We punish all of ourselves with the video, and when something so stupid comes up that it just mandates and requires a response or rebuttal, just someone yell drink, first person to yell drink has the floor, the rest of us will clam up until that person is done, and then any of the rest of us that want to chime in, we will do so. Standard rules. And if we find the video so tedious, boring, and or annoying that we just have to make it go away, that's just, somebody interrupt, propose that, somebody seconds it, and we can send it on its way. All right. Let us get started with 21 questions. We'll see if we actually have 21 answers that fits this. Here we go. And I'm sorry. There's the blanket apology.
Drink.
What? Did you call
I don't
drink?
see anything.
You don't see anything? Oh,
You're not screen sharing.
I don't see.
Oh, hold on. I must. You know what? I probably screen shared
Likewise.
before. That's the thing. I started it before everybody joined, so nobody's got anything. I'll fix that. All right. Apologies to all.
Well, we remember that it's perfectly feasible for a flat earther to do a video with a black content. So
Really?
That's not necessarily.
All right, here we go. Let me know if you all got the screen, and we'll try this again.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Oh.
Yep.
Much better.
All right, everybody's got what they're supposed to have. Very good.
Yep.
Here we go. You didn't miss much. It said Odd TV, Flat Earth, 21 questions, and that's where we are now. Here we go yet again.
So where's the edge?
Who's to say that there is an edge, and why assume there is one? Is it because when we are introduced to the idea of a flat Earth, it's always depicted like this? In the currently most accepted model, Antarctica is not a continent, but a 360-degree landmass made up of ice that holds the oceans within. When we look at a Gleason's map from 1892 that states at the top that it's scientifically and practically correct, as is.
Drink.
Oh, all right. There's the first one.
Jump in there.
Okay.
The map is just a 2D representation of a 3D model. it's accurate because the land masses are the same as they would be on any other map, and Antarctica just happens to be stretched around in a circle. That doesn't mean it's actually.
Yeah, if they had used Antarctica as the center, they would have had that for the Arctic Ocean.
India, all right.
In fact, they could have taken any point on the Earth, somewhere on the equator. They could have taken Rio de Janeiro, farther south, any arbitrary point, and whatever is on the opposite side of the Earth is going to appear to be an extremely long ring around the planet. So by this means, we can easily prove that the Cascade Mountains surround the Earth.
Another good proof given.
Whatever is opposite us in the Antipodes.
Indeed.
I like how
just yes.
Underlining the word somehow validates something too.
Well, of course it does.
Oh well, yeah, and the caps that really makes it much better if they've got
yes, that's the serious one.
Capital.
If it's all caps, it's definitely true.
Hundreds of years ago, as scientifically accurate, because everything back then was always 100% accurate.
Well, they were doing the best they could under the circumstances, and it's a perfectly valid projection. I suppose you could take one of those other maps that is also perfectly accurate, that comes apart with the Earth is like a big squiggly thing with on tetrahedrons and that, and conclude that there's actually giant gaps in between the continents because you're looking at a projection of map as though it's itself.
The one thing this map is accurate about is lines of longitude. Because along a line of latitude, they're accurate at each point. Like, that's the one thing that's accurate about this map. That's it, is the distances along the lines of latitude.
If you follow any line south, you're going to encounter exactly what the map tells you you're going to encounter.
Yep, exactly. Across the one-to-one distance, basically.
So do we have any evidence that our Russian video guy knows how to read a map at all?
Oh, this one's ODD, not Russian.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a different guy. Oh, okay.
Different guy. But the answer, whoever would be in the subject of that sentence, the answer would still be no. So it doesn't really matter
They're
that
all
much.
basically the same person.
All right.
Pretty much. I wouldn't mind throwing in a 7.5-minute quadrangle to any one of these guys and seeing if they could actually read the thing.
All right, here we go. Let's get back to it. This one's 43 minutes, by the way. So hopefully the assertions will just come hard and fast and we can blow right through them. Here we go.
We see this Antarctic ice rim. The Gleason's map is basically an azimuthal equidistant projection, which can be traced back to the year 1000.
Ooh,
the AE map is also...
drink.
Yes?
Yes, RJ here. It suddenly occurs to me a colossal logic problem that they don't realize what they're doing if they take that map as real. Because according to this, the mass of the ice on Antarctica is apparently easily that of the entire mass of area of all of the continents combined, if that were true. So what a fantastic resource of ice that we can get from Antarctica, that we can go down there and we can get whole continents full of it. In other words, the only reason why it looks as big as it does is because of the foible of the projection. It's not actually big in the same way that on a Mercator projection, things look awfully big at the poles when they're not supposed to. I don't think they've ever bothered pondering that area issue.
Perhaps not. And also, when they refer to it as when they're using the word projection, as you just did in describing this, I wonder if they ever give any thought as to what it's a projection of.
I gotta say real quick, it's really not a science-based thing. It's really not a logic-based thing. It's just kind of a funny thing of looking at an AE map.
Okay.
Does anybody else find it as comical as I do that Greenland and Madagascar are about the exact same size?
I'm
pretty sure that's not the case in the real world.
You may be right about that.
Or New Zealand. New Zealand is as big as Greenland, too.
Oh, New Zealand's massive.
Way longer.
And it's very oddly placed somewhere randomly in the Pacific, too.
And look at the bias. Even in the flat Earth world, the U.S. is still right side up. That's it.
Yeah, they're looking at it very parochially, forgetting the fact that even on a flat Earth, theoretically you could do it from other areas. But then the other issue is, has any of these guys, because you watch more of this claptrap than I have, has any of them wondered what's underneath the surface? In other words, what is the flat Earth made of? How far does it extend? And of course, then they would have to be getting into all of that seismic data, which does not seem to make sense from a flat Earth.
It's made out of turtles and elephants.
Turtles and elephants. Well, that's one. Dubé had an
so
answer.
Is it correct then to say that the flat earthers literally never wonder what is underneath the Earth?
That would be accurate. Dubé had a different answer, though, from his old books that he digs
Those they have
through.
the curiosity of a block of wood.
Indeed. Dubé had to think, because it was a video about tides and what causes the tides, and he's vehemently opposed to the moon having anything to do with it, and gravity and anything of that sort. He insists that the
Like
flat
Bill
Earth,
O'Reilly.
the flat Earth, believe it or not, is floating on the great deep. The great, fountains of the deep, that one, the great deep. And see, that's why there's tides, because the boat is rocking. So he's got it one stage further.
We're just like a monstrous waterbed on the
that's
the
how he
futon of
described
life.
it. I kid you not, that's how he described it.
Oh my.
And
so
you see, he took it one step further, at least.
Do they ever bother about the fact that flat earthers aren't the ones that are called upon to like find oil deposits or anything like that?
I don't think that's been looked into either. And
well, clearly that's not actually oil. It's the tortoise's blood coming up from where we accidentally pierced the tortoise's shell.
Oh yeah. Now, if we start thinking biblically, we can really get to some fantastic science that way.
What biblical tortoise blood? Of course, it's going to run engines.
Well, naturally. Somehow I'll bet that's tied in with earthquakes too, because if you're poking a turtle...
Yeah, in fact, we could put up a whole conspiracy theory that actually the old Sinclair dinosaur was really a turtle, and there's a conspiracy to suppress the truth about turtleosity. Yeah, let's go real...
It's just a turtle without a shell.
With an excessively long neck that only looks that way because of the special projection that we use to look at it.
Well, it's like the turtle from the Never-Ending Story. It's just weirdly shaped.
Okay. We got a problem. The mug of truth is empty. Talk amongst yourselves. Give me a second. Be right back.
You need to replenish your stuff. You need to bring in a keg or something.
Absolutely. Be right with you.
Yes, what a fascinating little world they are. Now, to be fair, flat earthers are relatively peripheral world of stupidity, because very few people who make decisions for people are actually flat earthers. Now, creationists, the bigger set, that's a different kettle of fish, and we currently have to wonder about all the ones in the administration that are going to make really peculiar decisions for us, including maybe the Secretary of the Army.
I think Cy might just have to carry the mug of truth with him everywhere he goes, so he can drink whenever he sees something stupid.
One of those little beer hats that you can just be sipping on and have it replenished by a cable coming from the edge of the Earth in the flat Earth model.
Now, those hats would not be hard to find. Remember, I live at the New Jersey shore. Those hats are not in short supply. All right, shall we continue with the foolishness here? Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Also, an official map of the United States Geological Survey, the USGS, and the official logo for the United Nations. The oldest known globe in the world is from
Oh, actually, not a drink moment, but did he say the official map of US? Because they've said that before. Look, if this is their official map, not as if they're not aware that a specific map for a specific purpose. I've heard that proposed as the map and then compared to the UN flag.
Hey,
I got to be real honest. My dad worked for the USGS for some 40 odd years, and there's no such thing as an official map of anything.
That's yeah.
I'm not trying to
remap and a billion different variations of this map for what is the mineralogy, what is the sedimentology, it goes on forever. It's mind-boggling the amount of work that these people do, actually sitting down and looking at what is dirt. How do we map it? It's phenomenal the amount of work that some of these people actually put into creating these maps. It's not, there's no one just, it ends here map.
There is an official projection, though. That would be a globe. All projections are based on a globe.
Okay, I would accept that as the official, the official one. All right. And speaking of a globe, he's got one up here. Let's see what he has to say about that.
1492. This is something you need to keep in mind because many people argue that the azimuthal equidistant map is just a flattened out version of the globe, when in fact the globe is just a rounded version of this true world flat map. If the flat map came first and it has the ability to convert into a globe without any problems whatsoever, then that should tell you a little bit about how this globe deception was achieved.
Okay, drink.
No,
of course,
drink.
Of course. I think I called it first. Did I? All right. I'll be quick. Of course, flat maps would have come across before a sphere, globe type of map, because people were only traveling short distances. If I'm making a map from here to the ocean, I'm not going to put it on a sphere. I'm going to draw it on a flat piece of paper. Of course, that's going to come out first. This has no merit whatsoever in the argument that it is more valid than the sphere. All right, end of my rant. Who was next?
Are you saying that the blueprint came before the mechanism?
Might have. It could very well have.
I may also remind you, there are pictures of unicorns before any positrons, so that proves unicorns are real.
Okay.
And this is so annoying too, because you can take just a normal Mercator projection, create a sphere in a 3D program, and apply it directly. Like, that's the default layout for a sphere in 3D program is a Mercator projection, the one you see in a classroom typically. You can take the same equidistant azimuthal map and wrap it around a sphere, and it works the same way. So if anything, this is how the flat Earth has gotten their model, is by taking a projection that we use and claiming that it's accurate.
And you'll notice it's also a case that's not the best case. If the real case would be, oh gosh, I sailed down to the giant Antarctic wall, and here is my video of it showing you the wall as we circle all the way around the Earth. And by the way, we're taking detailed measurements of how much mass is all of there. And we've got everything all worked out, and here's my detailed analysis of what's underneath the Earth and the seismic data. That would be an argument you could actually get your sink to eat.
Well,
all
RJ, hold on.
Yeah.
RJ, you have to remember, as Tao pointed out in his last video, obviously the Penguin Army would stop you.
Yes, of course they would.
They would not let you get that far.
That is true.
Yeah. How simple it is. And it still would be that all he's doing is playing around with visual images rather than actual data, and never quite working through what the hell they think is happening with any of this stuff.
RJ, are you trying to suggest that
are we going to ever get to the 21 questions? Does any of these qualify as the questions yet?
Philip, I got to let you know, you're really kind of quiet.
Yeah, audio's a little bit low. I don't know if you can crank it up at all. With the panel here, I can only lift you guys or lower you as a group.
Hold on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on it.
Hey, oh, that was okay.
Getting better.
Yeah, that was an improvement. Yeah, it's good because we don't want to miss anything.
You go on without me. I'll be back in a while.
All right. We'll try to carry on, but hurry back. All right, let us continue. Here we go.
Now, back to if there is an edge or not.
Okay.
There is no proof that there is an edge past the Antarctic ice wall, but it is speculated by many that perhaps the plane that we live on is either extremely expansive or it's possibly endless. In these two scenarios, it would be logically assumed that more land is being hidden from the general public.
Okay, drink in everybody else's video, and actually in some from this fellow. There's land is being hidden from us. Well, from the pictures they've shown us with the sun spinning around, held in a circle by some unknown force, that's what keeps our oceans liquid in this great ice field, and everything outside of that should have no sun warming it. So what are they hiding? Ice? Is there more ice, or are they saying there's more suns? This has never been made clear.
It's an endless field of ice. Yes.
Are we expecting our guy to ponder the implications of his own thermodynamic argument here? I don't think so.
Perhaps not. Perhaps not. But the whole they're hiding. Do you know?
Do you really think ODD actually could even spell thermodynamic?
Because, every one of these things has implications. Let us posit that the Earth has a ring around it that extends forever. Is it made of Zoggleploop?
The world's largest skating rink.
Yes.
Indeed.
What is it made of? And so simply drop off these little points as though they meant anything. This is a guy that can't even tell you his own source material. He doesn't even try to actually cite, well, according to the famous flat earther Schmidlap, he says such and so, but he doesn't even get to that far. So this is operating at a level that wouldn't even cut it for a junior high school term paper in Flatland.
Indeed. And this is all still part of the first question. Is there an edge question? Because I mean, we're back to edge.
Okay. Yeah, first he has to establish that there's an edge.
All right. And
it's not a rhetorical question. It's up to him to establish that there is an edge, not for all of the rest of the universe to have to explain to him why there isn't one, because he hasn't established that there is one. He can't show photographs of the edge all the way around. He can't show airplanes flying over it. He can't show any reconnoitering information other than popping up maps that are not showing what he wants them to, because he doesn't know the effing cartography.
Yeah. Well, I think that what he's saying is we're saying, haha, flat Earth, where's the edge? And I think he's saying, why would there have to be an edge? That's and he's got the perfect out for that. It's infinite. Okay. Yeah.
Well, but the problem is, it does have an edge of the edge that he is claiming. All of his claim is that there is a ring that's an edge of the ocean, and it goes in a way that no spherical theory thinks. It's a very unique phenomenon that ought to have corroborating information for it, which he doesn't think he needs to do. It doesn't give diddly squat how far the ice extends. You have to establish that there is, in fact, a ring of ice to begin with.
Indeed. All right. So it sounds like his whole argument here is, don't ask us if there's an edge because reasons. It's infinite, and we're not going to give you an answer. That sounds like the answer to question number 1 from the answer he's given.
Yeah, so false assumption, failure to establish case, head up, ass, add lubricant as necessary.
Okay, very good.
I'm guessing his infinite land is more of a Aleph Null infinite than it is an Omega infinite.
Mercy sakes, let's not get that.
Don't get into it, RJ. We can wait on that one. We can wait on that one. I just had to throw it out there.
I think we need to book that man into the Hilbert Hotel.
And he never does answer the question either. He just speculates.
No, he can't. It's all a pile up of rhetorical questions. Is it true that Antarctica is populated by killer penguins who have taken Richard Nixon there to turn him into a werewolf? Question mark.
Don't forget about penguin lightsabers.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeranism's coming? All right, here we go. Okay, so where's this magic land? We're obviously past the wall. Oh, they're patrolling.
He's used that song in.
The helicopters are patrolling.
Those are some amazing penguins to be able to fly helicopters so well.
They don't even
have thumbs. I was
going to
say, zoom in. Look at that penguin.
They don't even have thumbs. How do they do that?
They work in groups.
Oh, all right, that makes sense.
In a 1954 interview with Admiral Richard E. Byrd, an American naval officer who specialized in exploration,
this guy.
he had this to say.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
Implying...
Okay, very clearly stated. He didn't say anything that was really easy. Thinking of a spherical Earth, he didn't say anything that would make you think anything nefarious is going on. I gotta
be so drink already because he just said the word implying.
Yeah.
Drink already because he just said the word implying. Because he's not implying anything. He said exactly what he meant.
Exactly, but it's about to be misconstrued, I'd be willing to bet.
Yep, I'm certain of it.
Said exactly what I was thinking.
Here we go.
That there is more land past Antarctica.
Not what he said. Drink. He said past the South Pole.
If that uninhabited land was on a globe, it would be in the Indian Ocean.
What?
A recent discovery.
Yeah, see, he's
how in the world did he come to that conclusion?
He came to that because he ignored past the South Pole, and in his brain he interpreted that as past Antarctica.
He just kept going.
Pretty much
beyond an area of the United States.
Yes.
Well, we have to remember how little of Antarctica had been explored at the time the old guy in the old black and white video was telling this. There was a whole hardly climbed Mount Everest at that time. You could fairly say that there were a vast number of mountains in the world that hadn't been explored either, just as nobody knew much about what was going on at the bottom of the ocean. That doesn't mean it's on a flat Earth.
Is screen sharing a thing? Like, does that work? I don't know if that works.
It should, but only we're going to be able to see it. It's not projected to the whole.
You'll see in that little box, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So, like, pretty clear. Middle America. Right, this is America. We're looking at it upside down. If you keep going, there's South Pole. There's a big area right here. All this right here.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's exactly what Admiral Byrd was talking about.
He made it sound like
very little had been explored. They had a few people there. Apparently this Nimrod flat earther has as much ignorance of the history of discovery as he does about everything else. I guess he figures that Robert Byrd flew over and did a complete satellite map down to the millimeter of that entire continent. No, that isn't what had happened by that time. I lived back in the 1950s, and I knew how little had been known of the world at that time because I lived there.
I may be wrong about this, but from what I recall learning about certain things in school, the guy got lost, right?
Oh, there were a whole bunch of things. They had begun to start exploring.
ODD's trying to say he's this great explorer, but Admiral Byrd got lost.
Well, Antarctica was a killer in those days. We have a lot of scientific people down there, but
it's tumultuous territory. But how are you going to call someone a great explorer when they got lost and didn't know how to actually say where they were?
He wasn't lost, really.
He was just unaware of his surroundings.
I'm not sure whether it's the I think there's two. There was the one Byrd, and then there was who was the other guy that was exploring up in the North Pole.
Is that the one the Hollow Earthers always use?
Several different explorers. If you look at it historically, that video probably dates from the early 1950s. And if you think about it, they had just started doing some explorations with airplane flyovers, basically all of the study of Antarctica up until, I'm really trying to think, really until the later 60s on, was just by stray people wandering around, very underfunded with dog sleds and whatever, doing very, very little data. Now it's a continent to the point where people are doing drillings and they're doing soundings and they've got permanent teams there all year round, and we've got a whole bunch of stuff. But it didn't start out that way.
Well, even this day and age, there's I'm actually kind of disgusted by this personally, but there are people doing helicopter skiing and snowboarding in Antarctica.
Do May.
Yeah, bringing and leaving their mess.
That's a thing.
Well, that is disturbing. All right, let's continue. I think we covered that that little slip. Moving on.
Discovery of an old Buddhist map in a newspaper from 1907 seems to support the idea of a vast plain with much more land.
Drink.
Okay, you're up.
Show me the newspaper,
Oh, boy.
not a
Yeah.
picture that says it's from a newspaper.
And also,
Show me a video clip
1906.
of you holding that newspaper in your hand, flipping through the pages, showing me the article, showing me the date. Give me some viable proof that this was a published article.
And also, didn't say what newspaper. There are newspapers, and then there are newspapers. There are silly tabloids. There are stuff that had things on signals from Mars, from Tesla.
What, you mean like the National Enquirer is not real news?
So here, this is yet another example.
Are you telling me that wolf baby is not actually running around?
Oh, excuse me. The wolf baby is Secretary of Transportation today. So let's not hear anything against the wolf baby.
All right. Well, yeah. What else we're missing is a picture that we
I
don't
digress.
We're missing context. We can't read the article.
Yeah. Did he have enough on that video up on the top to be able to see what the newspaper was? Can you pull it back just a tad? Because sometimes you can glean information on things that they don't realize they're showing you.
All right,
it does appear to be an actual, like, you can find scans of this.
What the hell? It
If
just
that
jumps from
uninhabited land was on a globe, it would be in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. Get to the thing. I think it jumped
A
right to the
recent
picture.
discovery
Oh, there we
of an
go.
old Buddhist map.
Okay, let me go. Okay, wait. Hawaiian Gazette from January, and it's hard to tell. Actually, it looks like a 7 on the back end. Was this world map made 10 centuries ago? Aha! So what they're actually talking about is some little folk bit about an ancient map that may or may not mean much of anything, which, of course, from what we know about the real world, it's a silly thing. It's the equivalent of the kind of tropes that bad newspapers would go in that noted magazine, the Hawaiian Gazette.
Indeed. That's a scientific journal, is it not?
Absolutely, yes. I swore by the Hawaiian Gazette when I was measuring unicorns.
10 ways to piss off Tulsi Gabbard.
All right, so all right, that's
pathetic on credulously latching on to secondary sources that he never bothers to check.
All right, I don't know if you're gonna research this newspaper. You got everything you need, RJ?
Oh yeah. Well, it'll be kept in a little side issue of Niche World. I'm sure there's probably I'm trying to think of some of the people who have actually kind of been the point people on investigating flat Earth. And
well, if this is an actual newspaper article, you should be able to go to any library and sit down in the dark room and find it.
One would think.
Yeah. Well, some of the stuff may be archived. I'm inclined to think that this sort of stuff is troped around on some internet material, and once it gets on to there, then it just has a life of its own.
Odds are. All right.
There are all sorts of wacky pictures that pop up and articles, and here I'm not even familiar in the cartography. 10 centuries ago, that would be about 1000 AD. I'm not even familiar in the history of lore about the Piri-Reis map and all that kind of stuff. I'm not even familiar with this example, so it's a really obscure one.
You know, I just thought of something as far as this one's concerned that never actually popped into my mind before. If there's more land out there, why in the world are there not pipeliners going to that land, putting in new oil pipelines?
Well, another little detail to point out, if you know about the history of cartography, that some maps tended to think that there ought to be a southern continent because the Earth needed to be kind of balanced out. So there were a lot of cartographers that would just fill in the real estate like mad, and that figures out. How many of you are familiar with the Piri-Reis case?
I am not.
I got nothing.
Dead silence.
I am not.
Yeah. There was a map that was a Piri Reis. It means Admiral Reis, and this shows up in some of the ancient astronaut lore. And that he was an admiral who was drawing off of a lot of these old maps that were involved portal-land charts and other things that were used in the navigation system. And it shows seemingly before anybody knew it was there, real estate in South America at a supposedly a greater accuracy, and also a southern bits and pieces of a potential southern continent farther south, and that this was supposedly done where they imply that Piri Reis had seen a satellite map that had been preserved by the ancient astronauts, and somehow he got access to this in some library and copied it out onto the map and all that sort of thing, and then stuck in all the little window dressing. And there was a guy, Charles Hapgood, a map of the ancient sea kings, who was kind of a semi-catastrophist, oddball geographer, cartographer that was in the 60s and 70s. And you can probably find some of his books at the library. So that's a little footnote on where some of this lore was going. But the thing is, I've never seen that kind of a map before. So it's got to be so obscure that it was never popping up in any of that Hapgood maps of the ancient sea king stuff.
All right. I think we've spent enough time on the Hawaiian Gazette. Moving on.
In a newspaper from 1907 seems to support the idea of a vast plain with much more land.
Oh, question 2.
Where does the sun go if the Earth is flat?
Yeah, try and get out of this one.
Well, the sun neither rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west, and only appears to rise and set due to perspective.
Ooh, first time we've all heard that argument. Okay, you call drink. Go ahead.
Okay. Unfortunately, I do actually have to agree with him. There is no rising or setting of the sun. There is the rotation of our planet about its axis.
Indeed. So what he said was essentially accurate, just not in the way he wanted it to be accurate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And of course, I love that image of the sun as this giant flashlight, little circle that gradually illuminates sections of the Earth. It doesn't explain why people in one hemisphere that we know are being able to see precisely what they do, or the fact of the angle of the sun in its way that it moves. The flashlight doesn't make sense on a flat surface in a way it would where we can see the difference in the way the angle of the sun moves in the southern versus the northern hemisphere simultaneously.
And the Terminator doesn't match what we observe from that graphic that they always use.
Indeed.
Yeah, you'll notice.
And this is actually part of the reason why earlier before we went live, I was telling you guys about the horrific state of my telescope mirror.
Mm-hmm.
With my 8-inch Newtonian, I finally got a solar filter so that I could actually do some solar observing with it. And I was hoping that the magnification level would be low enough to get the entire sun into a frame that I could photograph, but that's just not the case. The thing's too high a magnification, even with no lens involved. And it's always the exact same angular size. No matter what time of day, I can go from sunrise to sunset all the way through the day. And I do actually intend on making a video where I have a camera mounted to my roof that's going to watch my telescope slowly pan through the sky following the sun. But unfortunately, the video from the telescope itself doesn't show the entire sun because the focal length and the F ratio overall of the telescope just doesn't allow the whole thing to actually be in the telescope view. But it never changes size. That's impossible on a flat Earth.
Indeed, and yet that the argument we constantly get is it does. We're going to ignore observations, and we're just going to say, in direct contradiction to reality, yeah, sun gets smaller.
Oh, and I'm sure one of them is going to tell me that someone put a computer chip in my telescope, even though I made the thing my damn self.
Yes, a purely analog optical device. Somebody snuck the Illuminati snuck in the night and added some electronics.
Well, of course, that's all that they do with their lives. They have nothing better to do than sneak computer chips into pieces of glass.
Yeah,
because that sounds like the best job in the world.
And somehow
I'm going to fool all these people by lurking in the night and sneaking computer chips into their glasses.
And somehow the great hoax benefits them. How exactly? How would that help them in any way? Oh, sorry, Cara. I think I stepped on you there. Go ahead.
I was thinking, as a flat earther, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think it's actually God is manipulating the shape of the mirror, or it's a way of refracting light so that it makes the sun stay the same size.
That could be it. You may have something there, because, I mean, that's the same fellow that put all those tricky-looking fossils in the ground to make us think the Earth is older than 6,000 years, right? Same guy?
Yeah, or there's some kind of atmospheric, magnification effect that God created. Specifically for the sun to make it. Only the sun works. It only works with the sun. It's important to know that.
Right, this distance between stars and things like that.
I'd like to do an experiment here with that little picture he had of the sun moving around like the flashlight on the moon. Can you back up to that slightly?
I'll give it a shot. Let's see.
And then pause it. Yeah, all we need to do is to stop it at some point.
All right, let's jump back here. Whoop. Where the hell are we? God damn it.
Oh my god. Convergence. Convergence.
It's Hawaiian map.
This is what
it's convergence.
All right, you know what? We're starting here.
Where does the sun go if the Earth is flat?
There you go.
There you go, right there. Okay, now let's see what he's saying is happening. So he's got the sun, presumably the great big flashlight is on Australia, and there is a line that's coming up through North America. So that is where the sun is going and setting. And according to him, the edge of Africa should also be dark. And unfortunately, that is physically impossible.
Indeed.
South America, he would have as also dark when the tip of North America is still daylight. So he's got a circumstance where it's sunny. He's doing this as though this is when the sun is at its greatest extension. It's when it's bright in the northern hemisphere. That the Terminator line doesn't match reality. That Terminator line where you have the tip of Africa and Southern California would be in darkness simultaneously is impossible.
Agreed. And looking at that map with that spotlight sun shining on the flat Earth, if you're in Alaska, what direction is the sun setting? By that map, it looks due north to me. I don't remember the sun setting due north anywhere.
Part of his cute little graphic. He can make a pretty little graphic. The problem is we have an experience by everybody's damn clocks and cell phones that they can say, hey, is the sun setting here? Gee, you could perform this experiment independently of being able to get to that great big ring of ice around there. You'd be able to communicate instantly with anybody around the planet in the same way we are and perform that stupid experiment. And clearly this guy's never thought to do it.
Well, not only that, if the light from the sun was going to create an oval on the planet, would it not also follow that the sun itself should be oval shaped? Has this guy never shined a flashlight against a wall? If you have a round flashlight, you have a round circle of light on the wall. How in the world is it getting this egg shape?
Based upon an angle. Well, you can produce theoretically an oval on a surface where the angle is. That's how you get ellipses and all that other stuff. But then you would have to deal with the attenuation of things and all the rest. And so this hilarious image, even if we were to assume that his graphic represents reality,
though. I mean, this is just a malformed blob.
Yes, and
kind of what the guy is, isn't he? So why shouldn't he have a light bulb shaped thing as a malformed blob? That is his entire art.
You know what's interesting about what he's showing here is it's an accurate azimuthal projection of the portion of the surface of the Earth lit when half of the ball is lit. And a video by Cortis on YouTube shows that quite clearly, where he goes through each part of it. So, like in this part, that's the part he's showing on screen now.
That's a perfect one to
where
stop,
it's lit like this. It's lit from the top right.
Can't get a circumstance where Africa and North America are where that shadow bit that occurred on his map won't work.
Well, on his, it's accurate. That's actually accurate. What he's showing in terms of if you're doing an azimuthal projection of what's lit for a ball.
It's accurate in the same way that the map itself is accurate as a projection.
Exactly, yes.
So, perfect. Oh,
what he doesn't show is when it's lit like this, where the entire outer ridge, which they don't like to show this part of it because
a little harder to explain.
There's also no tilt.
The entire rim is lit with a dark. So invert this image, what he's showing here, so that the sun is actually the dark spot, and that's what you get during the winter.
Putting out the light rather than the dark.
So.
Exactly. So it's pretty funny, like how much they, like, he's actually insulting mathematics by showing this.
There's a long list of things he's insulting. Get in line, Archimedes.
That was very interesting. I did not know they had stolen from reality to produce their fiction.
Yeah, they did a projection of essentially
Nice. Look at that. I've learned something today. All right. Let us move on here. See what else we have.
The sun neither rises.
Oh, do you have something, Phil?
Well, I was just gonna say, I know I'm the one who suggested you guys watch Russian vids. And I'm sorry to do this to you, but I think I'm gonna head out, and you guys get to watch Russian vids on your own.
Oh, you clever guy, you! Sticking us with Russian vids and then ducking out. Hey, if you have to, you have to.
Oh, no problem.
Alrighty. Well, so okay, there he goes. Well, thanks for coming, Phil. All right, moving on.
Rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west, and only appears to rise and set due to perspective.
Yeah, of course it does. How about half a sun? Tell me about half a sun at the horizon.
Quick drink.
Okay.
Nothing that needs a whole lot of explanation, but the guy should really sit down and think about why it is that it's called clockwise.
Okay. I was distracted for a minute.
Yeah, no, I was going to leave it at that so that people could think about it.
Okay.
I wasn't actually intending on divulging everything on that one. That's why I said quick drink.
Okay. Good enough. Here we go.
At the vanishing point of human perspective on the horizon where the ground meets the sky. And since the sun is not 93 million miles away, I repeat, not 93 million miles away, but much closer and smaller.
Piling another presumption on your data stream here. Since the sun is not actually anything other than a giant marzipan thing in the sky, you gotta show that's the case. You can't assume it's true.
Indeed. And did you notice the half sun would have been hidden by that guy's head in the last image? And I'm not sure how this picture is going to explain the half sun at the horizon at sunrise and sunset. Maybe it will. Who knows?
It's divergent. It's getting bigger now because it's beyond the vanishing point.
Of course.
But he doesn't show this change in size. Gosh darn it. So annoying.
The light emanating from the sun only illuminates about half of the flat plane at once as it makes its daily journey.
This picture didn't look like half.
Oh, look, he's showing glare. Good job. Watch him say something about that. Oh, no, he didn't.
He might.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, glare.
Quick, duck! Glare. It's coming at you!
Use the solar filter, because I know he's about to say what he's about to say.
Yeah, so he's just taking an optical trick. The sun does not, what does he think? He's recreating Fatima?
Sun is not getting bigger in this image.
Okay, we're on to the next question. Oh, what's underneath? We were talking about this earlier.
What's underneath the flat Earth?
We're finally gonna know.
All right,
Ooh,
I'm waiting for this.
Yeah,
This
should
is
be
obviously
fun.
an unanswerable question since the assumed edge has never been known to be reached.
That's your
But
answer?
many people suppose that whether the Earth is round or flat, that either way, it still must be floating in the middle of outer space. But the idea of outer space goes out the window with the round Earth theory. Many religious texts support an immovable Earth that has its foundations on which it is laid and its pillars by which it is supported. We simply don't know, but we do know that the Earth is obviously fixed in place, as we can tell by our everyday experience of non-movement. What we see in the skies above are illuminated
Wait,
objects.
did he just try and use someone playing Jenga as a means to say that the Earth isn't moving?
I believe so.
Yep.
Oh,
That is
Yeah.
a
this is
Jenga
one where
experiment.
we need to whoop him upside the head over Galileo. On all of those wonderful people who actually do experiments, who establish that a moving frame, you can't tell that you're moving in the frame.
All right, next experiment for backyard science is I'm going to go ahead and build a Foucault pendulum in my basement. Fuck it, I'm doing it.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right.
I look forward to that.
And of course, another buried assumption is, how come no one's ever been to the edge before? To that big ice wall? As though no explorers ever went there at all. Nobody was sailing
Of
around
course
there. None of
not.
those people
Lightsaber bearing penguins stop everyone.
But he, based upon his ability to misread a cartographic map, is able to figure it all out with a clarity that is denied all those mere people who actually go out in the real world.
Right. Obviously, shills. I mean, that's obvious. All right. Let us continue.
Making circles around us just as it appears. Whatever this place may be, it's the center of all we survey. Some say that the Earth is the floor of the universe. In the ancient Hebrew conception of the universe, we are surrounded by the waters above and the waters below.
So Sheol, the great deep, that's what's under the flat Earth. Okay.
That's
He's answered our question. Thank you.
Yes. And what's under that?
And also the fact that he's bringing up the one text, he says all sorts of traditions, but the only one he ever brings up is the Bible. And that's because flat Earth as a cultural group is largely determined by people being hyper-literalist creationists who insist on the flat Earth on biblical grounds. And so I suspect that this guy has some very large little axes in his philosophical and religious closet that he doesn't want to talk about, even though he's sort of slipping in the stuff here.
Indeed, and we've seen this before. This is the we've seen the snow globe model where just as this is, the Earth is kind of floating in the middle, and we're in, and then there's the great deep under us, but somehow we're in some sort of big snow globe, and that to that group is perfectly acceptable. That there's a spherical creation, but certainly not a spherical planet. That's beyond imagination.
Yeah, the weird irony is the fact that, in a way, he's accurately reflecting the ancient biblical view of the world. That's one of the things that the regular young Earth creationists, let alone the intelligent designers, just don't like to think much about, is that the old biblical world was flat.
Well, the flat Earth movement is it's a creationist movement, hands down.
Well, and I have to ask, how in the world can you explain redshift under a dome?
God did
You're wanting him to explain data? Now there you're just slipping. You're just silly talk.
Well, I mean, give me something, at least attempt to try and define why it is that redshift is an actual thing.
All right, don't make me say God did it in all caps.
At the very least.
Or for that matter, the fact that he's not a real astronomer, the fact that the Earth, fortunately, because it's a moving object orbiting the sun, performs a wonderful little experiment that those pesky little Greeks could figure out a long time ago. And that is the Earth moves along 180 million miles in its orbit. And so there is a parallax shift on nearby stars that you can physically observe. And that became obvious when you had telescopes.
Indeed. All right. I think that was sufficient for that little assertion. Moving on.
known as the Great Deep.
Yep, Great Deep. What's under the Great Deep?
Deepest hole ever drilled into the Earth was a total of about 7.5 miles. The very core of the Earth is nothing more than wild speculation, if not another malicious lie. So what's under the Earth?
Malicious lie. Okay.
And then it goes on to speculate.
Yes. Yeah. Andy, I think you called drink first. You want? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try and cut it short because I know RJ and I happen to have a back and forth that lasts forever sometimes. It's not speculation that our magnetic field exists. The flat earthers always bitch about the Van Allen belts. How in the world can we have any sort of magnetic field without a giant freaking ball of iron?
Rotates.
Indeed. So they're insisting the consequence of the terrestrial generator, shall we call it, is that exists and it's why we can't get into space. But the actual generator producing the magnetic field, oh no, that doesn't exist. That's what they're saying.
Oh no,
And another one of
no, that could never be.
Another one of the science disciplines
or massively illogical.
Paulogia, because just as you can use the ability to tell what's underneath a piece of rock by the kinds of things that happen when you make a vibration run through it, you can use that same seismology thing to be able to map out the internal structure of the planet. You can tell where the various shifts are things, that certain things have to be fluid on a spherical Earth in order to accommodate the waves. This guy, what are we having little, if you set off a nice little seismic blast on that sheol and had a little detector over there on the left-hand side of the board there, as you're looking at the firmament of the sky, would you be able to replicate the data that the damn geologists can generate in vast bits? These clowns have not even tried to generate actually a science work in here. And meanwhile, the petroleum geologists make money off of the real geology.
In short, science, you fail.
Pretty much. It's they say the same things about space exploration, all that sort of stuff. Since they do not have the equipment, the expensive equipment necessary to do the kind of testing needed to demonstrate the true nature of the planet, they claim that those who do have it must be the enemy and the Illuminati and keeping secrets from us. I mean,
if there was any money in flat Earth, we would probably all think the Earth is flat.
Oh yeah, you'd have a market bit. That's exactly the same problem of the creationist has. Is that there's not a single petroleum company on Earth that uses flood geology to find oil deposits, and that's because it's wrong.
And I think after these
why aren't they building pipelines to all this hidden land? I mean, good grief! You really want to deal with
figure out if you don't mind a cold environment. And you know what's really funny too is that does he have a real how gigantic this border zone supposedly is against this big ice wall? That how many Coast Guard people and naval ships would be required to patrol such a 23,000-mile continuous perimeter?
RJ, you keep forgetting about the lightsaber wielding penguins.
Oh, I know. Yes. Yeah, there we go. Now that I realize that they're all in there, then yeah, okay. Yeah,
obviously, all Emperor penguins work for the American government and the Illuminati.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And of course, they use those special Star Trek batteries on there, so their lasers never give out.
Well, of course, that's the only way. That's the only place you can mine the crystals for lightsabers. Is in. Oh God, I can't even actually say this.
He doesn't know what the Force is, obviously.
Okay, everybody.
That's where they get unobtainium.
They don't need batteries. It uses the Force.
Okay, everybody. That's patreon.com/RJ and Andy. All right.
Next show at 11.
Indeed. All right. And Okay, Cara, didn't I hear you trying to wedge something in there? Did you have anything that
Well,
you
I
didn't
was
get to say?
thinking, like, after these 21 questions, we'll have covered the entire topic of flat Earth.
Mm-hmm.
All 200 Eric Dubé questions.
Mm-hmm. Well, all of Eric's 200 is actually about 63 if you take out the duplicates.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
That's the point. That's the point, though. We're
indeed.
covering it all.
Indeed. All right. Here we go.
That remains a mystery to us all. But another thing that you can research is what's inside the Earth. Multi-billion-dollar deep underground military bases known as DUMBs. DUMBs, right?
What? Okay, was that just? Is there any
This
evidence
guy
for
is
that?
dumb.
Or
Is that for real?
I,
I mean, does he really believe
Sound
that?
you're hearing,
I just wanted to say
barn
dumb.
door of his brain opening up and allowing a mass of uncorroborated information to wander through on skateboards.
huh? It's apparently, if that's true, all we have to do is wait about 20 years, and we can get some prime underground real estate. The government has a habit of doing that. All right.
I'm pretty sure that those would mostly be filled with neutrino detectors at this point in time.
Oh, well, I kind of doubt that he's pondered too much about neutrinos.
You're probably
Maybe
right.
he's the one piece of matter in this universe that actually interacts with neutrinos, and they're beating them upside the head a little bit too much.
Neutrinos is how you detect the penguins.
Lovely. All right. Oh, look what's coming up. I think we're getting to what we were saying earlier. What's this? Sun. Is this sun disappearing? Oh no, ships and boats. Heck, I was hoping he was going to address the half a sun question. All right.
I swear to God, if he says anything about horizontal and horizon, I'm going to bust out some etymology.
All right.
He says curvaison. I'm downing this drink.
Now, curvaison, that's
curvaison yet. I feel slighted.
Oh, yeah, curvaison. That's right. Thanks for reminding me. Yep, Deb was unable to make it tonight. Again, he has obligations. He didn't want anyone to forget that he exists, and he still loves us. He'll be back. So, in honor of Deb, curvaison, and of course, there we go. Now, moving on.
What about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon?
This is also due to human perspective.
Of course,
they don't go over
human perspective. Why
yes.
is it?
And cameras and camera perspective.
Because he says so.
Well, it's because the penguins don't lose sight. They don't have human perspective.
They don't have that problem. Okay.
No. Penguin perspective.
They also wear special glasses that they get from the Illuminati.
Penguin perspective is much more accurate than ours.
But I don't know. Human perspective. Okay.
and equipment. Cameras seem to record the same effect, so it must be humans and cameras, but nothing else. All right, let's see how he justifies this silliness.
The horizon. They go into the horizon, moving beyond the limit of our vision and
beyond the limit of our vision. See, I hate that. This is
beyond the limit of our vision.
Okay, so where's all the land behind that boat?
Indeed. Well, again, that's beyond the limit of our vision. We've heard that argument to justify many things, not just this with the ships disappearing. It's as if they don't understand that it's.
I just go higher though. I just descend and I can see beyond the boat.
You could actually do an experiment with a laser or a telescope that would show that the object is in fact going below the horizon. It's not just appearing to.
And the limit of our vision. They're trying to make it sound as if there is the limitation is due to our eyes and not due to any limitation has nothing to do with our eyes. If the light arrives from whatever distance, from 100 feet away or 50 million light years, if the light arrives, we see it. It is not our eyes that have a distance limit of 100 miles or 1,000 miles. But this...
or 3 miles if you're at sea level. I mean, come on.
Yeah, limitation of our vision.
A flat earther ever actually tried to logically describe how it is that photons function in their reality?
Logical and flat earther, that's an oxymoron.
Well, I'm aware of that, but I haven't watched every flat earther video out there yet. I hope I don't actually ever get to watching all of them.
Yes, please don't.
Have any of them actually tried to describe why it is or how it is that electromagnetic radiation functions in their world, universe, whatever thing?
I don't remember hearing it discussed. That I'll say.
Yeah, I would suggest, based on what we've seen and what I've seen in other contexts, it's all the same arguments again and again and again and again and again. There's no originality to it, and of course, nothing in the way of experiment or figuring out what the heck they think is going on, other than picking up some stupid little biblical map and saying, "Oh, well, that explains it," and then they can move on.
Yeah, because the way that they describe it, if it, let's say the sun was only 3,000 miles away, that means I can see light from 3,000 miles away. Why can't I see Washington, D.C.? I mean, I'm significantly higher in altitude. It's less than 3,000 miles away. I should easily be able to see across the Mississippi Basin and to Washington, D.C. very easily.
Oh yeah, that's right. I heard. Look at the public comments. I've heard that too about the atmosphere has been used as an excuse for many things. Magnification is one. I think who else? Jaron is somebody. Somebody did a video. One that
but the sun has to go through the atmosphere even if it's 3,000 miles up. So
exactly, and then of course there's yet another question
that
of
pretty
how
much
is
nulls
there an
that argument
atmosphere?
immediately.
Why is the atmosphere heavier on the Earth's surface and lighter elsewhere? This is, and there'd be a whole mass of where they're flushing down the drain, the studies of how gases work in a gravitational field, and all of that.
It's the same thing as their buoyancy and density thing. Whenever they try and bring up why it is that birds can fly, but gravity should pull them down, and I've always been sitting around going, if your way of thinking about things is right, why is the bird able to stop flying?
Yes.
I mean, if the bird is so light that it just floats magically, how in the hell did the bird stop floating?
Why aren't all the geese just stuck up there?
Yeah, they just every
little
bug,
sandbags,
every insect that's capable of flying,
and for that matter,
they should all just be floating around, nowhere to go.
So it's almost a parlor game to figure out if science is being in principle flushed by flat Earth, and indeed how far back do you have to go in the history of science to find a air quote science world that could be even remotely matching up with the world that they have. And basically you're saying all of it. They're flushing all scientific discoveries that have worked out how we've done things.
Oh, hey, I just thought of something. How many times have you heard all flat earthers come back at you and saying the Earth can't be a sphere because water always is flat and level, as if those two words mean the same thing. And water never curves. When have you ever seen water curve? Water never curves. You've all heard that, right? Let us think back, and I don't know why I didn't mention this then. Let us think back to that little graphic they had with Sheol in the bottom and the snow globe Earth. What was above the firmament? Curvy water. The water.
Well, logical consistency. The irony, of course, is we now have instruments so sensitive. I believe you can measure on a teacup.
Interesting.
We have you can actually powerful enough that even in my rinky-dink little metrology lab in our factory, I can actually measure gravitational forces. And not only that, as you guys saw with my science experiment reproducing Cavendish, yeah, you can just set it up and see it.
That would be the experiment that was never reproduced, right? Cavendish has never been reproduced?
Yes, the experiment that has never been reproduced. I'm guessing maybe I'm the son of Zeus or something? Because I was able to reproduce it just fine.
You're a penguin, aren't you?
Damn you, RJ.
We got to get off of this penguin stuff eventually.
I have found your secret.
All right,
You're part of the penguin.
You are correct, sir. I am a penguin.
Let's get back.
I have always been a penguin. It is a hard truth to accept, but I am a penguin, and I am a proud penguin.
So you're telling me you're not running Windows over there, then, are you?
What's Windows?
There you go. That's a good Linux joke. Okay, let's get back. Let's get back to the video.
Boy, obscurity.
Here we go.
The vanishing point. But the ships and boats are easily brought back into view with the pair
absolute lie.
Binoculars, a telescope, and any camera with a good zoom.
Absolutely, any camera with a good zoom lens. What's he mean? A P900?
Oh god, he's talking P900.
P900. Anything with wrong. You want to bring the bottom of the ship back into view? You can't do it with a P900. You can't do it with binoculars. You can't do it with a telescope. You know what you can do it with? Another boat. Unless you sail out to the boat, it's not coming back. It's just an absolute lie. Either they've never tried it and they've heard other people say it, so they keep repeating it, or they have tried it and said, "Holy crap, this is going to blow my argument."
Just heard people say it. It falls into their background. This guy is, from a Tortugan methodology point of view, it's the same thing. He's overly reliant on secondary sources and pictures he's gleaned that he's never, ever bothered to fact check. He's never figured out what the hell he thinks is going on.
All righty. Here we go. Oh my god, I just noticed something. We've been at this for 1 hour and 14 minutes, and we are 7 minutes and 40 seconds into this foolishness. All right, I propose, like last week, we let the minor stupid slip by. Here we go. Right, when he's zooming out, you're still seeing the same percentage of the ship.
A great question to ask yourself is why can't we see noticeable curvature from 120,000 feet up? But many people claim that the supposed curvature can be seen from the ground by watching boats.
Gosh dang it.
Makes sense.
Indeed.
Quick drink. Just
okay, you're up, Cara.
Drives me crazy when they do this. The center of frame is valid. If he's using footage where the horizon is below the center of frame, a fisheye lens will cause the horizon to look flat. If you were to take this footage that he is showing, and I know the exact footage, it is the little piggy 120,000 foot balloon footage. If you go to this footage and then to the point where the string breaks, you can find frames where the horizon is at the center, and you can see the curvature from this elevation. And I'm sorry, 121,000 feet, but yes. So drink and shut up because I hate this guy.
A valid call.
Yeah, it forgets the optics of the lenses that are involved. You have to take that into consideration. It's like somebody looking at How the West Was Won on the video in the movie and amazed at the fact that people suddenly stretch when they get to the edge of the film because you're looking at a widescreen picture being presented on a flat surface.
Yeah, there's spherical projections and all that, yeah, but it's just silly. It's lenses aren't mysterious. The way cameras work isn't mysterious. We know how all this works.
Indeed.
Is the ship going over the horizon?
We design the damn things.
Well, I've always loved the fact that they try and say, ignore what the picture says. It's all CGI, and the only evidence they have it's not even evidence. The only thing that they have to show in retort to that statement is, look at my spherically ground piece of glass.
Yeah. All right.
Your spherically ground piece of glass is wrong. My spherically ground piece of glass is less wrong.
No, they're just wrong.
Indeed, they are.
I'm good with that. All right. Yeah, this is what I like about hanging around with a group of smart people. Okay, moving on.
And what about all of the pictures of the Earth?
What do you mean, what about them? Okay.
What about them? They are all clearly computer-generated images.
including the ones from the
Bingo.
Apollo missions where there were no computers that could do
Which
such things.
he's showing right now. That's one of them.
Indeed.
Beautiful image, by the way.
Yeah, that must have been.
Well, they were all done by the very clever penguins who do very dainty painting work.
Again with the penguins.
Those were monkeys. Those were the monkeys.
So instead, let's see. When we did Ken Ham, we were yelling.
Hey,
bacon.
the penguins have a really strong union. They don't let the monkeys in.
All right. So when we were doing Ken Ham, we were yelling bacon instead of drink. All right. Since penguin seems to be the theme this time, as an alternative to drink, it is authorized to yell
penguin.
Or no. What do penguins do? It squawk? Is that squawk? Is that what a penguin would say?
Yeah, they're sort of they have that kind of little quivery kind of a thing there.
All right.
And I immediately think of Morgan Freeman.
Okay, then since penguin seems to be the theme for tonight's show, squawk is an authorized stopping point as drink normally would be. All right, moving on.
They claim this picture from Apollo 17 in 1972 is real, and they also claim that the 2015 Epic Earth picture is real.
Yeah,
but NASA employee Robert Simon gave us a glimpse of how they
we covered this when
he shared
like 2
his
weeks ago.
Experience of creating the Blue Marble 2.0 in 2002. He is now called Mr. Blue Marble. He was interviewed and on record stating, the last time anyone took a photograph from above low Earth orbit that showed an entire hemisphere, one side of the globe, was in 1972 during Apollo 17. NASA's Earth Observing System, EOS, satellites were designed to give a checkup of Earth's health. By 2002...
Okay, so he's quoting someone who affirms that there was a photograph taken of half of the sphere, is he not? That's who he's quoting as an authority.
Yeah.
So that means he must accept that half of the sphere was photographed at some point because that's his authority. All right, I'm good with that.
Obviously, nice picture of the entire Earth. You have to be far enough away from it to get a view, for the same reason that it's very difficult to get a really full picture of your carpet when your eyeball is 1/10 of an inch away from it.
Indeed. But
yeah, all he did was use scan data.
Sorry, continue, Cara. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, all he did was use scan data to create a CGI model, and he did it because we'd never been far enough from the Earth since the Apollo mission, so he did it for the hell of it. He used satellite data, and then
indeed, and it's admitted
it's a mosaic based upon the data you.
And it was not concealed. It was not concealed. It was not a secret. It wasn't some government plot.
It was a personal endeavor on his part. He wanted to see what he could do with scan data. And one thing with that is you can eliminate things like clouds and stuff like that. So it was beneficial.
Yeah, for the same reason you don't have actually a picture typically of what the Venus surface looks like. You got to do it by laser mapping because the damn surface, the clouds are so thick you can never see the surface. But you can piece together things and create an analog so you actually have detailed maps of Venus now because you use more data.
All right.
Okay, all I was going to do was go super geeky and make some mention to the fact that we never actually see a full hemisphere.
You have to be infinitely distant in order to be able to see 50% of the sphere. Yes, I agree.
Or you could use gravitational lensing.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no, technically, you're wrong, because the light does refract around the edge of the Earth, and you could effectively see around to the other side.
Interesting. Okay.
If you're far enough distant, like the sun, if you're behind the Earth, you can actually see the sun behind the Earth, even though the sun is smaller than the Earth at that distance. The light refracts through the atmosphere, and then you see it.
Indeed, I retract my infinite distance statement. I should have known that just by lunar eclipses, where the red light works.
Without the atmosphere, you're 100% correct.
Hmm.
Like for the moon, you're correct. Fully correct for the moon.
Alrighty. Okay. Moving on.
We finally had enough data to make a snapshot of the entire Earth, so we did.
In 2002, Blue Marble 2.0, NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is, a composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
Okay.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it's a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command-Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space. But I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
All right.
It is photoshopped, but it's
okay.
Has to be.
I'm gonna slap this guy. Okay.
Stutter,
Cara?
boring. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to hit my head with a ball-peen hammer.
Cara,
He's
you're
completely taking the guy out of context by just repeating that and saying that that's the statement for every image of the Earth. That is not true. He's saying his version had to be photoshopped because he had incomplete data. So, no.
Indeed. And he glossed over all of the parts where he's saying where the data came from. Which
Satellite
again,
data,
which again, if he's using this person as an authority, it is assumed that he would take all of the statements as correct, and not just the ones that support his position. So,
exactly, yeah.
In one of my old, in doing research for my Phileas Fogg novel, I was looking up some stuff from old pictures, and there's a wonderful composite shot of the Philadelphia landscape that was taken in 1870 or something like that, composed of several different pictures that were then spliced together. From that, are we to assume that Philadelphia did not exist? The logic he's using.
Yeah, I guess that would be the logical conclusion based on that.
Naturally, until you can take a singular photo of anything, it doesn't actually exist. Because, photos are the ultimate brain in a vat is no longer acceptable argument. Okay, maybe I just went on a weird
I think
sorry about that.
There's a benefit from having a brain in a vat.
I don't even think they would understand brain in a vat. I should not have gone there. I'm going to end that segue. Let's continue.
Okay, and continue we shall. Okay.
Why are all the other planets round then?
Can't wait to hear about this.
It's a good picture. Not too bad. A little blurry.
When you compare amateur footage done with professional grade cameras and compare it to NASA's official images of planets and stars, it's clear that NASA images are all computer generated. No different than the photos.
I agree. I'm calling bullshit on that.
That's a lie. It's just a plain, flat lie.
Yeah.
And this fellow is just putting this stuff out, repeating all of the same arguments that we've heard again and again and again from flat earthers without ever specifying. He is technically describing people in the scientific community as fakers and liars. They should sue him, and they should do the law case up at the space station. And when he loses, they should throw him out of the door.
Ooh, you want
Sorry, I
to
didn't say drink.
That's okay. It's or squawk. Or squawk. It's assumed. All right. We're good. Yeah, we've been a little more liberal these days with that kind of thing. Honestly,
well, it's
yes.
You could almost you do the whole music science or the science theater theme.
Mm-hmm.
So And they always did little like tidbits while the video was playing, you know.
Oh yeah. If something's not drink worthy, but you just anybody wants to just wedge a few words while the thing's running, of course that's always fine. I've done that a couple of times this show, but
bullshit's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Except, you know what? To make it funnier, we should do the bullshit like we're coughing, like bullshit, that kind of thing. That might make it funnier too. But with what he's saying about amateur looking through telescopes, NASA's images, just him saying that reminded me when I was a little tiny dude, and the dad finished making the telescope. Andy was the one I was telling you about earlier, the one that got dusty while I was in high school. The mirror got all dusty, and I remember being a little tiny dude. And when he finished it, and he said, "Here you go, go." He took me for believe it or not, astronomy lessons at a local store we used to have, which was called Edmund Scientific, local to New Jersey, not local to where I am now. Anyway, and what I remember about this is I knew what the NASA images of the planets looked like, and what I saw through the telescope did look strangely like the NASA images, except better. I remember being like 12 and thinking while I'm looking through the telescope, while I'm looking through this, if I just reach my arm around to the front of the telescope, I'll be able to grab that. It's like it was the NASA images of the time were accurate representations. It's just when you're looking at it through your own telescope, it's better.
There's another problem that he's slipping in here. It's that who cares if the NASA's images are all CGI? The telescopic stuff that existed before there was ever CGI that you could see for the last several hundred years, is he saying those are faked, and or don't you still have spherical planets to worry about? So far, we still haven't gotten to his explanation. Are these just a bunch of little pie plates stuck on big armillary spheres like something from a special effects movie?
Well, and continuing with what Cy was just saying, when you viewing the phases of Venus is one of the most awesome things I have ever personally seen. I mean, it is so phenomenal to watch another planet in our solar system go through its phases due to our relationship to it. It's just phenomenal. It is beautiful. It is absolutely amazing. And to try and sit down, I mean, what's ODD going to try and say? That there's a freaking computer chip in my eye? I'm a cyborg. I'm Data from Star Trek. Come on, dude. Where does it end? Like,
and indeed,
where does it actually end? Where you finally sit down and go, "Holy crap! I'm looking at this and it's awesome."
Yeah.
And Saturn ring, you're more the astronomer that I am. Is it not the case that Saturn's rings, over time, their orientation changes relative to us? So sometimes you have a better view of it than others.
Oh, absolutely. The very first time that I actually had I was able to show my dad, man, I guess sometimes when you get into the world of the microscopic, you forget about the world of the universe. My dad was one of those guys, and the first time that I sat down and I finally drug him up into the hills where there was no light pollution, and I put him in front of my telescope and I had him look at Saturn, its rings were like, I want to say 18 degrees or so, roughly. I'm guesstimating. It's been a little while. But it was around 18 degrees facing Earth. It wasn't the full that we had a year and a half ago or so. But it was enough that even this guy that had been staring into a microscope for the last 30 some odd years of his life, that forgot about the universe existing outside of, the fact that everything he studied revolved around the universe having to had existed, he was blown away. Absolutely blown out of the water, just in utter disbelief of what he was looking at.
Yeah,
because
remember, you
never actually sat down with the telescope and looked at a planet. He was that guy that always looked smaller. What? And I totally get that mindset. It's awesome, but as soon as he actually did see Saturn and its rings so evident, so clear, so pristine, I thought he was going to have a damn heart attack right there. It just blew him out of the water. And every time I look at Saturn, every time I look at Jupiter, I have the same thing. I'm just, oh my God, this thing is there, and it's awesome.
Saturn has always been my favorite.
You can see the Galileo satellites. They've been known since Galileo's time, and telescopically, you can see comets slamming into Saturn.
Well, yeah, 1994, I'm pretty sure a lot of us remember. Thank you, Jupiter. Saved our asses once again.
Him this data from his what the hell does this flat earther think those things are out there?
Right.
Or can he ever get
when he wants to sit down and say amateur astronomer? Go and get yourself a telescope first and tell me what an amateur astronomer is, because I am an amateur astronomer, and I grind my own optics for fun. So what are you talking about when you say amateur? Are you talking about someone that hopped onto telescopes.com? Are you talking about someone that is in middle school and just found out about the awesomeness of the universe? What are you talking about when you say amateur versus NASA? That's a gray zone that needs a bit more definition.
He finds a way of disposing of data by a series of shell games that never quite works out what he thinks happens. That's a constant thread in all people who suffer from cranial blockage of the rectum.
All right, we
that's
better
the official.
That sounds like a good point to move forward.
We better get moving, guys. We're 11 minutes 38 seconds in an hour and a half. We better get moving. Here we go.
Let's have him finish this sphere issue.
Okay, NASA's CGI version. Okay.
What have become known as planets are round lights that seem to be set over the flat Earth.
Here, I'll show Pluto. There's Pluto.
Didn't hear that, Cara. What'd you say?
Well, you didn't show Pluto, so I have Pluto on screen. I figured I'd say something so it'd pop up in a little box there.
Oh, indeed.
So, yeah.
Cool.
There's Pluto.
All right.
Yeah, another one that was discovered by those little telescopy things.
So-called planets and stars are not what we have been told they are.
Right.
And
go ahead, I dare you. Show us an out of focus image.
Then tell us what they are.
I had Andy gave me an image. I asked him to turn his telescope way the hell out of focus on just a star, because they've made the same arguments for stars, that they're not what we've been told, distant suns. And if you take a telescope way out of focus, it turns into a big, it gains dimension. It gets bigger, and because of the various distortions in the atmosphere, it looks like there's movement and things like that. I'm wondering if he's going to go there. We'll see.
I need to do that with Regulus, because Regulus is actually really fun to look at through a telescope, because it's not a star. It's a tertiary system. It's 3 stars.
Yeah, same thing for Alpha Centauri.
When it's
really right.
When it's blurry, it's a blob. When it's in focus, at least with the telescopes I have, there's very obviously 3 visible stars. I think due to scientific awesomeness, it's actually more than 3, but one of them's a brown dwarf and we can't see it visually, so whatever.
And by the
remember,
way,
he's got that damn phases of Venus that he needs to account for. That was something that exercised the minds of people. It's one of the reasons why Galileo became a heliocentrist, is because it's really difficult to explain why that is if things are not like moving around a solar system.
As if the movement of the planets in general being absolutely impossible to predict with the geocentric universe is not enough.
let alone gravity. And even if, by the way, has anyone ever heard him say, or any of these flat earthers say, how big they think the sun is?
I've heard relatively small. I don't remember an exact size though.
Oh, so they don't actually think even that one through.
Smaller.
As far as they think it through, it's too small for nuclear fusion to exist, and yet I'm sure they all enjoy the gold that they collect in whatever. I don't know how in the world gold could even exist on a flat Earth if the sun is so
remember,
tiny and
God
minuscule.
just made them along with polonium halos. I mean, if since they're coming ultimately from a creationist framework, cuz can explain everything.
Polonium halos. I was tired of hearing that one.
Oh yeah, that's rubber.
Cuz like
the same
the slang cousin, or cuz like the slang because?
I think the second
just
one.
CUZ, cuz, yes, as a contraction for because. That's ultimately all of these religious arguments can be condensed down to cuz.
Indeed. And
here I thought CUZ meant cousin.
Context. It all depends on context. All right. Moving on. See, okay, now we're to the. Oh, I see what's on the screen. We have the. This is the non-CGI version of the planets.
Oh yeah, this one's very nice.
Comparing luminous objects that you see in the sky to the Earth under your feet is very ineffective for actually proving the supposed rotundity of the Earth. Since there are no actual photographs of the Earth, and motion has never been experienced or proven, it would seem more logical for one to assume that we are on a flat, motionless plane, and everything we see in the heavens revolves around us.
What about satellites and GPS?
Let me guess, it's all terrestrial. Let's see.
As crazy as it may sound, satellites are a hoax. Have you ever wondered why there are never any damaged or fallen satellites? And why there are no satellite malfunctions due to
crash? They happen every once in a while. Boy, this guy is hilarious.
That they do. Look at this ridiculous picture. With the number of satellites in orbit, it's how big must each one of these be in order for this picture to be accurate? Each one of these satellites got to be 1,000 miles across.
It's probably a map, because some of that stuff is in fact, hammers floating around from the space station and little bits and pieces of boosters and all sorts of things.
But yeah, that's another big one. Oh, there's 4,000 satellites. How come they're not bumping into each other?
Yeah, so
how come you can't see one from the other? Oh, I don't know. Scale.
Internet picture.
You can see the darn things, though. Go out and look for one. ISS is a good one.
That's the best one. Yes, I agree.
Once in a while, periodically, they have to say, "Excuse me, but there's going to be a satellite that's falling down. They've calculated the orbit, and it's going to be coming down." And whoop, and you get this little shooting star, and bits and pieces of it may even end up in somebody's lawn.
Oh, hey, look!
Yeah, it's real easy to tell what's an iridium flare. And they're kind of bright neon green.
Oh, look at the chat. Tao has joined us. Howdy, Tao. How are you?
Hello, Tao.
He's been around for a little bit. Hanging out.
Indeed. Did Tao not get the link? Tao, if you want in, let me know.
Join.
All right. Here we go.
Constant heating and cooling. It's weird they don't melt in the thermosphere that's over 2,000 degrees. I find myself looking at the moon and wondering why we never see satellites pass by the moon. Did you know there are thousands of...
Yeah, we do. That was 2 points. One, the thermosphere. Yes, the instantaneous temperature of a specific molecules may actually be at that temperature. Not may, is actually at the temperature you described. It's just the density is such that it's not going to melt stuff.
Careful with those words, Si. You might get buoyancy involved.
All right. You're correct. I will be more careful. I assume you called squawk on that. Okay.
Of fiber optic cables under the seabed that supplies 90% of the Earth's communication, internet, phones, etc. And GPS works off of cell phone towers.
I knew it.
It's called triangulation. Haven't you seen those really tall towers and wondered what they are?
Yeah, I haven't seen many in the middle of the
Satellite TV is
ocean.
just enhanced radio using ground-based towers. It's all ground-based.
Unless you look at which direction the antennas are actually pointed, then somehow that argument goes out
Oh,
the
that would
window.
involve that again, and that's not something he can do because all of his world exists on pictures he's cribbed from the videos.
Indeed. It's not just him. With, what's his name? Flat Earth
Oh,
asshole.
they all have exactly the same argument. I haven't seen an original claim being made from any flat earther, let alone experiments. And
Indeed.
how can you account for the reason why Venus's phases are so significant is that it requires the sun not did account for those things any other way.
And of course, you can look at geostationary satellites, aim a satellite at them, and pick up data, like signals.
Indeed.
Never mind that, though.
Pay no attention. Even it was quite a few weeks ago. We did the flat Earth asshole video where he was looking at a DirecTV dish and he misconstrued where it was pointed. He assumed the center of the dish was in fact, 90 degrees off of that was the direction that the antenna was pointing, not understanding that the DirecTV, the DirecTV dishes are actually from a very quite off-center section cut out of the paraboloid. So, alrighty. Yes.
Real quick.
Yes.
Cara, great use of the language.
What'd I do?
Something good, I guess.
The manner in which you said, "Who am I not, though?" Or to the effect of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Great use of the language. Just had to say it.
Okay. Duly noted. Here's a word I never use. Kudos to Cara. Here we go.
Just like the old TV antenna, science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke proposed the idea of geostationary satellites in 1945 in a magazine called Wireless World. And 20 years later, in 1965, they claim to have successfully launched the first commercial geostationary communication satellite. Today, there are said to be thousands, but the odd thing is that trying to prove it only leaves you fruitless.
Leave you fruitless.
What? That was his. That was his response. That was his response. That they're allegedly using the word allegedly, mentioning the number of satellites, and then claiming it is fruitless. That was his rebuttal. That's it.
You need to have a trailer that just says a little scrolling thing that says cuz. That's his entire argument.
He might have a T-shirt that says nope. I find that rebuttal to be somewhat lacking. All right, is outer space even real? All right, let's find out. He's just like he's had answers for us so far. He's gonna have an answer to this one too. Let's see what it is.
No, 21 questions not answered.
Outer space even
Frame
real?
the question well.
Yes and no. What you see in the sky, as far as stars and wandering stars, also known as planets, are there. How could we deny them? We don't know what they actually are, but they are there. Now, what we are told about outer space and what it is
I hope to make a
not
video
true
like
at
that
all.
soon.
Everything we believe about so-called outer space is due mostly to Hollywood movies and other media, including children's cartoons. Of course, NASA propaganda is the biggest.
Drink, squawk.
Okay, all right. RJ, you squawked first. Go ahead.
Deary me, I must have lived in a strange little world where I was reading about all that science information and those astronomers, and not one of them was a Hollywood movie.
Well, of course, you live in a vat.
I didn't realize what was actually happening when I was growing up before this little fart was even born to misrepresent data that he got off the internet. Oh, silly me. I didn't realize that all of that stuff was coming from Hollywood and digital reconstructions before we even had computers.
See how helpful this guy is? Now you know, RJ.
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't even have to see because he can even think my memory, make them all clearer, and it's all penguinitis.
Oh my. Yes, I I agree with your objection, RJ. The science may have come before the cartoons. Here we go.
As we have already gone over, there are no pictures of Earth, and even images of all the other so-called planets are computer generated.
Okay, see where he said, as we have already gone over, that's a euphemism for the lie that I previously said. So it's a
He's
euphemism.
just lied. He has never offered, even in his own argument, any notion that all of those photographs of Venus through real telescopes being conducted over centuries are NASA fakes. How could they be? It was before there was a NASA.
Indeed. And what's with this image that's up now? Okay, we're gonna have to watch what happens when we hit play, because I'm wondering if this is a stolen commercial image.
A picture of the solar system with the objects not to scale.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the watermark under where it says Earth.
Oh, come on, he would have to use such a wide-angle lens to take a picture of the solar system to scale. Good grief.
Indeed. All right, here we go.
NASA has gone on record numerous times stating that humans can't get past low Earth orbit.
No!
Why?
Yeah, that's just a no. That's just not true. Here we go. What's that?
NASA's next spacecraft, already being built and tested across America, will do those things and more.
This is the spacecraft that's going to take humans to explore the solar system. It's the next big step for NASA in exploration.
Called the Orion Multipurpose Crew Vehicle, or MPCV, this next-generation spacecraft will enable America to explore beyond low Earth orbit.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
Okay, does that actually need any reply? Okay, we have to gather data before we send it. I don't see that as a bad thing.
He's about to do something where he's going to take everything out of context and assume what he's saying is not solely applying to the Orion spacecraft, implying that all previous spacecraft have not gone through the same testing. Anyway, proceed.
So when we're done with these numbers that keep coming up, he's going to say one sentence that includes only the words CGI, Van Allen belts, traveling, wandering stars.
He's going to imply we're having to do something again that we, like, for the first time that we've already done before. So he's about to lie. I know he will.
God, you think dishonesty from a flat? No. All right, we'll see.
Plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Squawk.
Okay. You called Squawk, you're up.
Just a generalized, thing that I think a lot of people forget about. While we have gone to the moon also happens to be in Earth's orbit.
Valid Squawk.
It's also a relatively short distance away, but we needed a rocket the height size of a 40-story building to do it.
Well, he's going to point out it's going to be between, Apollo and the Orion.
Is it just me, or is this guy a broken transistor?
It's all the same material. I mean, there's been so little of variation between any of these flat Earth groups as to the kind of images they present and the arguments they present. It's all like playing off of one very, very narrow playbook.
Right.
Can something break, which has never worked in the first place?
And a broken transistor, broken open or broken closed circuit? Just curious what your view was.
Oh,
I'm
boy,
pretty
I
sure
think
it's a broken closed.
Okay. So there's very little modulation going on.
Definitely a single pole closed broken circuit.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up. All right, moving on.
Like the previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
Low Earth orbit is supposedly between 99 and 1,200 miles away. The funny thing is that they say the moon is over 200,000 miles away.
How's that funny?
How did we make it so far in the 1960s and 70s?
We don't have a
freaking rocket.
Because we don't have a Saturn V right now. That's why. We don't have a Saturn V. We're going to have the SLS soon, but we don't have a Saturn V handy. Okay,
He's saying that the Orion, these are all problems we've solved already, so why are we having to go through all this testing for Orion?
Okay.
Because we're not in a Cold War with Soviet Russia. I know that's I know that's obvious, but
it's different technology too. This is technology from the 60s. We're overcoming the same challenges because we've done it before. Like, I think he's about to say he didn't really cover it yet.
All right. Well, let's let him ramble on a little more. We shall see.
Also, the International Space Station, just like everything else brought to us by NASA, is a fake Freemasonic hoax, completely fabricated and done with special effects, models, pools, zero-G planes, and various...
It's got to be a hoax and Masonic because he said the words Masonic and hoax in the same sentence. There you go.
Well, wait, did he say it in all caps? If he said it in all caps, I'd go with that.
Penguin Masons or the cockroach Masons?
I'm not entirely sure.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about the Masons that are going to wind up putting a small, cute little hat on his head and then kicking them in the face with their tiny little cars.
I'd like to see a Mason from Edgar Allan Poe who walls him up with the cask of Amontillado.
Oh my! Oh, there's a nice reference. I wonder if people actually even read that anymore. All right, moving on.
He knows as much about Edgar Allan Poe as he knows about thermodynamics.
Again, I still don't even think that he knows how to spell thermodynamics.
Probably not.
Well, if he gets the crayon out, he might be able to pull it off.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Other camera tricks.
Yes, Cara?
I skipped back in the video a little bit because I wanted to hear, because I think we cut him off mid-sentence.
All right,
so he says, hold on just a second.
60s and 70s if we can't do it today.
How did we make it so far in the 60s, 50s and 60s and 70s if we can't do it today?
You know, and here is a matter of this is all so easily knowable that the payload of the Apollo program was extremely small. They want to build these new Orions to carry bigger things into space. It took a while to build a system that could handle that. Low Earth orbit doesn't require as much fuel because you've got to have multiple stages and all the other pieces that are going on. The speed for leaving the Earth's orbit is bigger than the orbit itself. All of that has been known since Newton's age.
We've done it already, so why do we have to go? Why do we have to overcome those issues again? Is his entire argument for that?
Because he's historically illiterate doofus.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to make it clear though, because that's why he went through all that Orion bullshit. He's trying to say
if it happened before,
we're overcoming something we haven't.
I'm sorry, I've just insulted historical illiterate doofuses. He's in a class way beyond them.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. Okay, so that's his argument. if we used the Saturn V's, which we don't have anymore, why can't we
could build if you wanted to, if you wanted to be that wasteful and energetic, and if you wanted to shoot something of the size of there to the moon because it's farther.
Indeed.
I mean, we could use the old spacecraft. I mean, it's tested and proven. We could use it again, but no, we want to build a new one, and we got to go through all the same testing.
Indeed.
Well, not only that, these guys already bitch about the half of a penny out of every dollar that goes to NASA. Do you really want to revisit the 60s and the amount of money that NASA was receiving then?
You know what? I'm one of the ones that would say, yep, absolutely.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I figured you might.
Gladly like to see that.
Indeed. I'd be willing to, in fact, even have it doubled to a full penny out of every dollar I pay in taxes, going to something that's actually going to further humanity. And maybe
I wouldn't mind seeing a $2 bill for every couple of bucks. An actual $2 bill, just so that they can make the extra buck off of the $2 bill being worth more than $2.
That would be nice. All right. And the ISS. Yes, that completely CGI imaginary thing in space that was
that you can see with your naked eye.
That you can see with the naked eye that was actually pointed out
I
to me
can't
by
wait
an
to
actual
have
astronaut.
Built. I'm going to be able to actually track the thing live time. It's going to be awesome.
That's to track. That's what I've been meaning to do. I have an old Celestron with the that's just been sitting upstairs unused. I think it's maybe a 6-inch. I think, and it's got the motor drive, and I need to make something to do image tracking with that. That probably will be my next project. All right, let us continue with the imaginary ISS that just happens to have real people on it. Here we go. Oh, and by the way, it's possible to verify there are real people on it by just go around your neighborhood, look for the house with the big, ugly-ass antennas sticking up in the backyard. Those are ham operators. Those guys can tell you when to come visit them and sit down next to them, and you can try and talk to an astronaut. They'll be able to demonstrate by the signal strength and by the Doppler shift that you are in fact tracking a moving object that is moving at a speed that is not possible within the Earth's atmosphere because it would burn the hell up.
You're introducing a little bit too much science for the flat earthers there.
I'm suggesting they leave their parents' basements, which is just crazy talk. I understand that. All right, let's move on with the ISS here. Here we go.
How is circumnavigation possible on a flat Earth?
Very easily. You can travel east and west directions to ultimately end up right back where you started. The face of the Earth looks similar to that of a clock. In fact, clocks were most likely designed after the true appearance of our world. If you follow a compass east for long enough...
I don't know.
Wait a minute.
Does that even merit a response?
That's a squawk and a drink and a large trailer truck of drink being pulled into the thing.
Maybe we'll even call bacon on that one.
Holy moly. Wow. You know, the way clocks finally work out. How does one make... First of all, the earliest clocks were water clocks and sand clocks and other kinds of things, and sundials. Sundial, you have to have it as circular because you have an object that's casting a shadow, and it's going to make a circle no matter what. You could make it shaped like a square. You could make it shaped like a pie plate. You could make it flat or not. The shape is irrelevant. As to the clock element to it, how else would you make a thing that's going to depict things in a circle except as a circle? That there is no historical connection whatsoever to the shape of a clock face based upon the idea that it was a reflection of the Earth.
Well, and it's stupid. You got sundials too. I mean, come on. Like, those are designed with a circle also. It has nothing to do with a flat Earth. I mean, come on. It's just silly.
This guy he's pushing his argument way too far for his own good, and meanwhile, he's never explained the Venus phases, which he never even bothered.
On that note, and only being on question 9, maybe we should just call it at 10.
You want to call it at 10?
Go to the next video, because oh my god.
All right. Well, the next one is what we would call light fare. It's Russian Vids, and everybody knows Russian Vids is self-refuting. We'll have a lot of laughs. Do y'all want to stop it at 10? And
yeah, because this guy, he's just
this is a joke.
arguments that
he's
no originality to it at all. So it's worse than tendentious. It's boring.
Yes, and that's
it would be
one of the
one
conditions.
thing if he at least made any kind of an attempt to back up his claims with something. But
just for the novelty of it.
Empty, vacant space.
Okay, so you all want to hop on to Russian Vids, whose defense is, look at how fake this is. So that's what
we'll give this guy. We'll give this guy one more chance.
All right. We will stop it after the 10th question. I concur. That's fine. Here we go.
You'll make a full circuit. Same thing if you travel west long enough. As we've already gone over, the flat Earth map that was around before globes were easily converts to a globe. So everything you believe you are doing on a globe is actually taking place on a flat Earth.
So this guy's trying to say that he holds physical evidence of a monopole magnet.
Oh, I didn't extract that from that. That's interesting.
There's another one that he would have to think about if the idea of accounting for magnetism was on his bill.
He's going to get the Nobel in physics for having physical proof of a monopole magnet.
Huh.
And also, you can do experiments on the declination of a magnet that as you move around the Earth, it's not only wandering side to side relative to where the magnetic pole is, but it's tilting relative to where the pole is because you are moving relative to it on a spherical Earth.
Wait a minute. If it tilted and the Earth is flat, if it tilted, it would all spill. No one wants to spill the Earth.
No, spilling of the Earth would be bad.
Spill over onto the penguins.
Did
the damn penguins! I'm the one that started that shit.
That you did. damn Linuxy folk. And did anyone see Emma's comment, by the way, in the public chat? Russian Vids, 33 drinks. All right, here we go.
How come the moon is upside down in the southern hemisphere?
Oh, interesting. You know what?
You said it's upside down.
Actually, well, there
isn't upside down.
Well, no, that's assuming
up and down is relative.
That's assuming there's an up, yeah. But appears opposite of what we see is actually this is the one argument he may be able to make, because this you can do by just taping an image of the moon to the ceiling in your living room, and you stand on the one side of the living room. If you go to the other side of the living room, it appears opposite. So he may have an argument, but it does not provide evidence. Doesn't provide evidence for anything. So let's see.
And you'd be seeing a whole different side of the moon altogether.
Indeed. Here we go. And this is 10.
This is another very simple explanation. When somebody is in the northern part of the Earth, or
by simple it means
wrong
of
the Earth, they see the moon
northern
from this angle.
Northern.
When somebody is on the southern part
of the Earth, that's one of the lesser known Harry Potter houses at Hogwarts. Along with Slytherin, you got the Northern.
Indeed. And however, look at his picture. By the argument he's making, it is technically correct. You would see the effect of looking at the moon. Now, agreed. You'd see a little more of the edge that's facing you than those on the
other side of it.
Exactly.
You'd be seeing the other side, what people stupidly call the dark side, the far side of the moon.
Not only would you see the other side, but when we're moving throughout the phases of the moon, the phase of the moon itself would be inverse.
Would it?
His argument only applies to a full moon, and if the moon's not full, the crescent moon would be inverse north to south. But it's not. It's still just a crescent.
Very true.
The surface features are different, yes, because you're viewing it from a different angle.
Lit up is related
the crescent shape itself is not different.
Relative to the sun.
Well, no, it's relative to the observer.
Well, like the guy at the right arrow would be seeing a full moon. The guy at the left arrow would be seeing a crescent moon. The image he is showing is a joke.
The phases wouldn't correspond north to south, but they do correspond north to south.
Yeah,
if I'm looking at a crescent moon one day and I ask someone in Australia, "Are you seeing a crescent moon?" they will say, "Yes, I'm looking at a crescent moon."
Odds are they will.
Yeah, I use the calculator all the time because for my novel, I've had to work out when the moon was rising and what phase it was in, particularly because sometimes it's arriving quite late or right after sunset or whatever. And the calculators that I use, the only variable is the local time, but it doesn't change the latitude along. It doesn't alter what the moon looks like. It's still a crescent moon, both places, no matter where it is. It's just the timing you see it locally varies. Because the Earth is turning.
Now, they could adjust their... Remember the model of the spinning sun and the moon opposite each other? If that were actually the case, they were always opposite each other, folks in what we call the northern hemisphere would always be seeing a nearly full moon, and everybody in the southern hemisphere would be seeing, nearly new moon, right? Because the sun is opposite. Theoretically, the people in the southern hemisphere are on the other side of the moon from the sun all the time. Now, they could adjust that by having the moon move at different speeds from the sun in their model, but they never do. And now we've just given them the clue on how to fix that. God damn it. All right.
Are we to assume from this that the sun is approximately the size, a little bit half the size of Greenland, and that the moon is actually larger than the sun, substantially larger than Greenland, based upon this fantastically accurate image, which must, of course, reflect absolute reality?
No. This is CGI. In reality, both of them are the size of a penguin. All right.
Yeah, well, as we know, all penguins are CGI.
And apparently violent.
Yes, absolutely. Well, for one thing, they're constantly making all sorts of complicated things to try to get that donkey to Madagascar. And so, when you think about
I got to be real honest. If I was stuck on a shelf of ice at the edge of the world, I'd be a little bit pissed off too.
They seem to like it, though. Except when the seals come
Actually,
it seems to be very, very good breeding ground.
Actually, penguins that live in Patagonia and that, and some of them live in fairly warm climates, but that would be more that zoology stuff, which I suspect our Mr. Cuz doesn't know anything about either.
Indeed. Have you seen the little blue penguins?
Oh, maybe his cuz knows a little bit about zoology, and that's the reason for him knowing zoology.
I can predict he would be an anti-evolutionist. Let's put it that way.
It wouldn't surprise me if his cuz is a avid fan of Zoo York.
All right.
I'd love to see Steve Meyer of the Discovery Institute try to explain to this Hanyak that the Earth is actually a sphere. That would be really funny.
We might want to look into trying to get some of those folks actually on the show. It's not that difficult.
Hell freezing over will happen first.
Well, no. People do make appearances now and then. It's just we will have...
not Steve Meyer. He wouldn't appear on anything so lowly or demeaning.
Ah, I see. All right. Let us move on, shall we? Here we go.
Angle, and that's
Are we going to move on to Russian vids?
Well,
was this number 10? Or?
This is 10. This is 10. When this foolishness is over, we're done with this, and we're moving on to Russian vids for a little light fare to round out the evening. So, yeah, this is the last one of this. Here
Imagine you tape a picture of the moon in the center of your living room.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on where you are in the room, the moon will be seen differently. When pondering this question, keep in mind that the face of the moon never changes. On a spherical Earth, we'd expect to see other sides, but we never have.
Oh, okay, that was just inaccurate. That was just inaccurate.
What about
that was his entire thing?
He basically used the argument against him as the argument against the globe Earth, and then just went to the next question. So,
all right.
It's just the same shtick over and over again. It's basically, is any actual physical evidence of the universe he will pay no attention to. No experiments will be performed to confirm anything. He will draw pictures he's seen off the internet or he's copied from other videos. And when absolutely necessary, he will just blame it on the Masons.
I have a funny feeling that this guy is the same kind of guy that would say, I don't have clean socks because fuck the world, as opposed to I didn't do my laundry.
Could be. All right.
Sorry, I totally just realized I dropped a massive F-bomb. My apologies.
Oh, yeah. Normally we do that before we start broadcasting. All right. Well,
Yep, I screwed up.
You know what? I didn't notice it, and I'm supposed to be policing things here. You know how effective I am at that.
I should have said frack. I've been watching enough Battlestar. I should have known better.
Indeed. All right. Well, that was the end of that. We'll call the end right there for that. We don't need any freaking unicorns to clean the palette between this and Russian Vids, right? No. No.
If you want to use a word, make use of smeg. That from the old red dwarf.
All right. Well, okay. We'll move on to
remember to mute myself.
Well, but that'll take all the fun out of this stuff. And by the way, aren't you glad we included alcohol in this event? Because think about watching this video without any alcohol whatsoever. We'd all have shut down the Hangouts window.
I had alcohol. I got to go on iced tea.
We would have shut down the Hangouts window by now and just left. So, all right, very good. We will move on to Russian Vids, but of course, we should have a little bit of a break. All right, here's Baby Buster again. Back to things here. Where the hell is Russian Vids? Oh yeah, okay. This is Russian Vids railing about the SpaceX Falcon 9 launch with the spy satellite, etc., etc. It's Russian Vids. You'll see. There we go.
I've covered the SpaceX deception for a very long time. Basically, from the very inception of so-called SpaceX, it's nothing more than smoke and mirrors. I'm not saying they don't launch a rocket into the sky, but of course it does not go into space. And also the landings are nothing more than CGI fabrications. Just take a look at this.
Does it go up to a big sky hook and it's put on like a balloon and floated away? Does he ever actually explain where it goes?
The argument has been made. I think it's usually into the ocean. It's usually just they say it goes into the ocean. But, all right. Yeah, and you know what else? Just listening to that first 18 seconds, no introduction, no nothing, let's just start rambling. In the you guys, you were saying earlier before we started the show, you noticed the latest Is Genesis History Science videos are out, and I thought Chadwick there was the undisputed king of the run-on sentence. I think Russian Vids here may be giving him a good run for his money. That was a serious run-on sentence there. Here we go.
Production, it's like a bad infomercial. Where's CNN? Where's Fox News? Where's MSNBC? Where's Discovery Channel? History Channel? This is supposedly an amazing feat they're accomplishing by being able to basically land a rocket, reusable rocket, and they're nowhere inside, of course.
Like actual people to be standing in front of the rocket with the name tags of the broadcast companies they work for?
And
wants it to look, I guess,
Hi, I work for CNN, and I'm going to be incinerated by a rocket today because done.
Because Russian Vids wants me to.
Though, if they had done that, he would change his mind on that basis? Oh, yeah, sure.
Actually, that would probably provide him another...
Of course it's fake. They're willing to risk their lives.
Oh, he's made that argument. Look, it's only the commercial broadcasters, no amateur footage. And then we brought up amateur footage, and he used amateur footage in this video. All right.
What it all comes down to, this is nothing more than science fiction passed off as real.
33.
But basically, SpaceX fanboys, NASA fanboys, and the like. But now let's take a look at the actual footage itself. Again, nothing more than garbage. Let's take a look. Again, I'm not saying they don't launch SpaceX into the sky, but definitely does not go in outer space.
And you know this
This
how?
itself just doesn't pass the smell test as well. Just doesn't look legit. Again, this.
Okay, drink.
I'm not saying they don't.
Okay. Cara called it.
Just say it doesn't pass
Hey,
the
who?
smell
Oh,
test.
Cara called
He can
it.
smell how high the rocket goes. He
Am I
can
speaking
smell
in a
it on the
vacuum?
video. He has tremendously fantastic penguin-like senses.
Cara called it. Cara, you're up.
So he just got done saying it's all smoke and mirrors. And then
Mhm.
after it launches, he says, but okay, so maybe they launched rockets, but they're not going into space.
Right. No
Because he
evidence
can smell
provided.
it.
Yes,
So he
because.
went from it's all a magic trick to, okay, maybe they are launching, but it's not going into space.
Right.
He wants to deny the fact that it gets to space.
Pretty much.
Okay, so he's already changed the goalpost once. Let's see how far he goes.
I wonder if they're going to move some more.
Launched these actual rockets into the sky, but that footage itself doesn't even pass a smell test as anything that is real.
Spell test. What an idiot.
Take
I
a
get
look
it now.
here.
This guy's just a big fan of Batman, and he really hates penguins.
So what's he using to smell the rocket?
I
That's what I wonder.
I don't know. Perhaps he'll explain further.
Does he go to these and like smell the air?
I would tend to say, I have to say no. I do have
Something
to say
tells me this guy hasn't smelled fresh air in many a year.
Well, you see,
So
there
he
are
hasn't
very
even
rare
done the smell test.
special pheromones that are given off by real rockets that are not given off by these fake rockets that, although they are launched, don't actually go out into space. Because if they went up into space, the pheromones would be falling back and you would be able to smell them entirely. So yes, I see the logic of his argument now, yes.
All right, well, at least it makes sense. Okay, good. All right, here we
And
go.
all this time, I thought that his butler just let him know.
I hope he explains his smell test. What is this smell test?
He's going to explain it by
How
saying,
the hell do you smell a rocket?
I think it may be a metaphor, like, something fishy in Denmark, you don't pass the smell test.
Could be. It could be. All right, here we go. Shouldn't he be saying something negative right about now?
Now look at the speed.
Okay.
That's what I'll mention.
Okay. Yeah.
260.
Yeah.
In full thrust. This is very relevant to, which I'm going to show in a little bit.
It's a really heavy rocket.
And suppose that stage 1 comes back. For its landing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at the speed here.
It's
basically pretty minimal.
And there is a maximal feed. It has to have different numbers on there. If they had done it in like Roman numerals instead, or perhaps to make it look like a clock face, then it would be more convincing to you. What does the data need to look like to persuade you?
I think he means his old Ford can go faster.
Okay, I was about to say something I shouldn't have said. I had to bite my own tongue. My apologies.
Well, it is later into our presentation. People have come to expect that.
I like that he doesn't talk, so he just.
That in itself is a plus. You're right.
Yes.
Just put it this way: his thrust calculations are based upon his failures in life.
Yeah, speed should be
That old
getting
failure to
faster.
launch thing again, eh?
Penguin.
The lighter the rocket.
Okay. Let's see. Andy, you called Penguin?
I got nothing. I did call Penguin.
All right. See,
I'm still laughing about the absence of thrust.
See, that was a judgment call on my part. It wasn't technically a squawk, which we all agreed would be authorized as a substitute for drink. I just assumed that Penguin was your substitution for squawk. My mistake. Not a problem. All right, here we go. And this video is going great. He hasn't said much during his launch. Yeah, bring out your numerology calculator again.
We have maintenance and cutoff. And stage separation has been confirmed.
Well, he'd bring out the numerology calculator if something would line up with 33.
Again, I'm going to stop right here. Why isn't any other agency
called it
in the media covering this? All you're having is this perspective from SpaceX themselves. Their production. That's the point of this.
All right, so what? Now, he's done this before. So SpaceX made this video. Okay. He's asserting that nobody else is making a video by virtue of the fact that we're watching this one. It does not follow that nobody else was making a video of the launch at the same time. I would call... Actually, we've called drink too many times. I don't know if I was going to call that a non sequitur or what, but that's... He's saying, why is there no amateurs involved in this video or no news media involved in this video? Well, SpaceX made it. Live with it.
The nitrogen thrusters.
Where's any other video footage of this taking place?
We don't want to stop and go and look on YouTube for other videos of this taking place, do we? I mean, can we just assume that somebody has, maybe NASA, maybe somebody has? We don't need to go dig for it now, do we?
I would think not.
I would think. Well, yeah, I agree. I would think not. Now, maybe the amateur photographers and maybe the news media was not prepared to follow the rocket through first stage separation. But I would find it hard to believe that with an actual rocket launch that there was only one camera running.
This is all fake. Everything that's so-called out in space is fake.
Look how fake this is. 33.
Now, for the interest of time, I'm going to speed up.
I'm sorry.
Doesn't give a reason.
No.
He just pronounces it.
Yep.
He could say, instead of him saying it's fake, he could just say, that's so penguin, and it would have exactly the same information content.
Somebody will send him an email saying, just yell squawk.
This video. Okay, I'm going to skip towards the end here.
Good. Skip to the end.
Skip to Maluma, darling.
Of course, they're going to have the timing off where the stage one on the right side camera is going to be delayed because supposedly they're still in so-called outer space.
So cold.
So the flame dies here. You'll still see it here because supposedly the time delay with the camera. Now look at this again. No thrust. Look at that. Look at the speed.
Wait, what's his argument there? No thrust. Look at the speed.
He doesn't know what his argument is.
Aren't they
supposed to be
How in the world would the rocket have any measurable thrust if it's falling?
That's what I was thinking. It's in descent, correct?
But wait, is the speed going up?
It's in descent. You're absolutely right.
Well, what is he referring to? Is the speed not going up? Is that what he was objecting to? That with no thrust, the speed should be... Let's let it run a little bit and see if it's not... Can't roll 38, 39. No, I see the speed increasing.
Basically,
Which
that's like a telephone pole falling from the sky.
Yeah, with thrusters. Yes.
Yeah, your average telephone
I don't know about the rest of you, but I have never seen a telephone pole as big as a frickin' SpaceX first stage module.
And very few of
them. That's a big ass telephone pole. I think.
It's what they use for the cell phone towers to get rid of the space satellites.
All right. Oh, what happened? Did we lose Andy?
Seems that way.
Looks like we lost Andy. All right. All right. We'll each have to pick up our sarcasm quotient by about, I would say, 20%. Here we go.
That thing should be flipping all around. It's coming straight down like a pencil. No way.
Well, he said no way. I guess that clinches it.
Take a look at this. I'm going to stop right there.
Okay.
Now, you'll notice you don't see what says SpaceX. Looks like a little bit. I'm not sure what this is. Looks like a little bit of a burn mark and you see the fin grids.
Yeah.
They're in position. They're positioned up. They're closed. They're going to have another vantage point. They have one thing about this SpaceX launch and landing. There's different vantage points they didn't have before. So I find that pretty interesting. Why they waited for so many launches after the fact to start using different camera angles. But of course, when it comes to the actual landing itself,
okay, that's somebody's got. I figured somebody would be calling stop at that point. Go ahead.
That his use of the word "what he finds interesting." In a fundamental, real sense, nothing interests him. Nothing he finds interesting. All he does is simply snark on it. He has never shown actual curiosity to figure out what the hell's going on with anything.
Agreed. And it doesn't occur to him that the first mission was not get as many camera angles as possible. Believe it or not, Russian vids, the first mission was to get the goddamn thing to fly. That was the mission. Then once they were good at that, then they paid attention to all the little ancillary tasks, like tracking the vehicle for longer distances and just, a minute after launch and all that sort of thing. Maybe that's why. Okay. End of rant.
And why wouldn't there be burn marks or the things be closed because, they're coming back in,
Indeed.
Up. I'll get to that towards the very end, of course.
Of course.
Now take a look here as it's coming down. No thrust. And look at the speed.
What's wrong with the speed?
It's only coming at 300. What's it, 25? About almost 300 now. And no thrust is being used. Now, they're starting up.
Okay.
Now, you see it says SpaceX on the side now. You didn't see that earlier. So what's the deal with that? You had two sides, two vantage points.
That side wasn't facing this?
And this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense.
At all. It's funny, but when I look at some side of like an old ocean liner, some places it says the name and then other places it doesn't. So it's clearly like faked.
That was a CGI ocean liner. Yes, definitely. I agree.
Yeah, there we go. That Titanic thing, that was a put-up job.
Indeed. Which, by the way,
claim that
is never an issue with the. Remember, I made a fuss a few weeks ago about the new Indian motorcycle. It's never the case because from whatever angle you look at it, Indian is proudly displayed. There is no angle.
Clearly, then SpaceX should use an Indian motorcycle because that would resolve a lot of their problems.
Indeed, I agree. All right.
Clearly see it says SpaceX there earlier.
Look at how fake this
is. You didn't see that. You didn't see the SpaceX logo on the side.
So what are you trying to say?
You're gonna have, of course,
a logo. It's real.
What is he trying to say? That midway between... Okay, so they launched the thing for real, and it just dropped into the ocean. Then they substituted an object without the SpaceX logo on it to film.
Yeah, and they were just putting the logo in there just to confuse him, and he is easily confused like a cat with a laser pointer.
And then halfway down, they swapped in another one with the logo. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Okay.
All by that digital. Why don't they just do the whole effing thing digitally if that's the case? In which case, maybe the entire planet is digital, and this man actually lives inside of a matrix bubble.
Could be. All right.
From this, from 1 million miles away, you don't see it actually land. You're going to show it land after the fact while it supposedly landed.
Okay, somebody get Red who filmed the actual landings.
But you don't see it physically land itself. You have touchdown and it's already there. Why don't they have 10 cameras all around to film this thing coming straight down for a landing? One point is straight up, watching it come straight down for a landing. This is a complete joke.
I actually have seen footage of the other SpaceX things that are actually physically showing the damn thing coming down. So he is data selecting which example he wants to play around with to get to that.
Well, keep in mind, we're not talking about the most rational of people here. In the same video in the past, on this very show, He has complained about the lack of amateur video for a launch, and then shown amateur video for the launch. Yeah, I don't know if you recall that. That was quite a while ago.
Is he the first member in his family to walk upright? Has anyone established that?
You're assuming he walks upright. There's never been any evidence of that. I don't know if we...
Yeah. Well, no empirical verification. Do we have amateur footage of him walking upright? That's what I should be asking.
Well, that would obviously be CGI, I'm sure. And, oh, look, the return of Andy. Everybody cheer. Andy has returned. What happened, Chief?
Welcome back, sir.
Honestly, I don't actually know what happened. I just suddenly got disconnected and had to reboot.
Oh, you sure you weren't kidnapped by penguins?
No, I know exactly what happened. We're watching Russian vids.
Not
he said to himself,
pigmanapped.
He said to himself,
okay.
I've had it.
That's what you want us to believe.
Yeah, we know what it really is. He said, I've had enough of this crap.
At some point in time, you'll have to believe it, right?
Did you say it in all? Did you say it in all caps? If you say it in all caps, we have to believe it. All right.
If I make blind assertions, you will have to believe it, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sweet.
That's the rule of the internet.
And sprinkle the number 33 in there if you could. Okay.
Oh, that's right. That's right. 33.
Okay, I believe him. All right, moving on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, another day, another deception.
Damn deceptions.
Nothing but garbage.
It's a deceptive.
But people are going to buy it. There's going to be all these SpaceX fanboys that come along that are probably about approximately his age. They're in love with the fantasy, in love with the idea of this.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a fanboy band at SpaceX. You know, they brought in all these people who do little things like that, and they got the fanboy clubs. They got the little T-shirts. Oh yeah, this disparagement of technicians and scientists to minimize everything, as though this little Hanyak making up his little snarky videos here is anything other than ludicrous.
Absolutely. Honestly, I find the whole thing insulting. That those who do nothing will make a video to criticize those who've actually achieved great achievements. It is somewhat disturbing. All right.
Yeah, they used to do little mimeograph pamphlets that now they have video that they can sound as though it's more significant than it actually is.
All righty. Here we go again.
But this is completely ridiculous. Where basically a pencil, or in this case, more like a telephone pole falling out of the sky, comes in for a vertical landing.
All right, you know of any telephone poles that have thrusters, vector thrust, things of that sort? I know of none. I think that is a very poor analogy you have made there, Russian Vids.
It's a complete joke. You tell me these so-called fin grids are going to make this thing stabilize and come down for a perfect landing, never topples over?
No.
Give me a break.
That's not what was said.
Well, actually, the first couple of them did topple over.
Oh, yes, I recall that.
Ah, that shows you how clever they were to have a series of failures.
It didn't just work the first time. There, was science involved.
So his argument is...
They had to learn. How do you make a rocket stand up falling downwards?
So his argument seems to be that people are too stupid. This is impossible.
I think so. That seems to be it. All right.
Well,
it's a one-size
they probably are too stupid to understand.
If he thinks he is the smartest, like if he thinks, like he's on top of the pile, I could see why he would. That would be his limit of capability.
What a strange universe it would be.
See what I mean?
That Russian Vids would be the top of the pile of.
Because we're all idiots.
So
everyone here is an
yeah.
idiot. Everyone in the chat, idiots.
So it would seem. We're obviously nuts for listening to people who spent a large chunk of their lives learning so that they could produce technology for the good of humanity. Why the hell are we listening to them? You know what? Russian Vids is right. We should listen to these basement dwellers.
Right.
All right. All right, and thanks to all you guys calling Squawk so often. I would imagine I'm slurring by now. Okay, here we go.
Just another Backstreet Boy reject. Now, I saw some other footage. Take a look here of the so-called landing.
What exactly does the guy need to look like? I really would love to know what he wants the talking heads to appear. Do they need to look like Stephen Hawking? Do they need to look like Dumbledore? What exactly is not going to get his snarky comments on it? Apparently, no matter what the person is going to look like, he's going to find some way of minimizing it.
Yes,
this is
wrong.
a really terrible thing to say, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he actually does want a mechano man to stand up there just so that he can insult him and say, guess what, Stephen Hawking, you're a robot.
Like one of those old robots, like the robot in Hitchhiker's Guide there. Life, don't talk to me about life.
Could very well be. All right, I do have to say we're making astounding progress through this video. We're at 8:05 out of 13:02. We're doing great. Here we go again. And you know what? It's probably time for an apology. It's Russian Vids. I'm sorry, everybody. Here we go.
At the first stage, supposedly coming down for the landing itself. Again, you don't see that logo. Take a look here as you zoom in.
Okay, why don't you say what you draw from this? What is your inference? What does this mean to you that you do not see the logo that is on one side of the object? What is the conclusion?
That he has a bad publicist that didn't print the logo on both sides of the cigar?
Maybe so.
Take a look here.
I wonder if he thinks there's only one camera.
Logo.
Maybe.
Okay. Doesn't add up, doesn't make sense.
Okay, it doesn't make sense. And whoever constructed this elaborate hoax, somehow it escaped their notice. That's what he's saying. It escaped their notice that they were not proudly displaying the logo. They spent all this money making this elaborate hoax, but they missed that little detail.
Yeah, they were
Wait, so they can somehow put computer chips into my telescope that I made myself, but they don't know how to actually program the computer that chip was a part of?
That's what he's saying. Yes, absolutely. They botched it.
That they're the hoaxers are
phenomenal dumbassery. I mean, that is first-rate idiot. Wow.
Okay.
The hoaxers are simultaneously fabulously competent and incompetent at the same time, audacious but clumsy, according to him.
So it would seem. Fool the whole world, but put up obvious botches like this. Okay.
Photoshop the world, but forget to put a logo on the side of a cigar tube.
Indeed.
My. Oh, Russian Vids.
See why I said this was light fare? It really is. All right, here we go.
Not buying this for a second.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the landing itself again, like I stated earlier.
Again, because you repeat yourself monotonously.
And this is the distance shot. These things are stabilizing this. Basically, this pencil coming out for a landing. It's a complete joke.
Up.
Why is it a complete joke?
That's it. No, we're done. We got nothing to say. He has made use of the "it's a complete joke" defense. That's it. There's nothing we can do. I guess we're screwed.
I remember, when D-Day occurred, the Germans deflected our D-Day invasion by saying that's a complete joke.
Yeah, it worked out fine, didn't it? All right.
Is it going to show the landing? I want to see the landing.
Yeah, here it comes.
I mean, this is just
that is
nothing
so
more than watching a Hollywood movie. That's all you're watching here. Look at this thing. I mean, if you can't see, this is CGI.
I have to say, though,
no wonder
why in the world is Russian Vids not trying to sit down and debunk Astronomy Live's not professional, but immaculately well made and well put together and very well described how it is he's able to do it version of these things?
I think you just explained.
Astronomy Live is doing phenomenal things with this stuff.
Yes, he is. And I think you just explained why he's not using Astronomy Live's video as an example. Because he does explain exactly how it's done.
Yeah. And you'll notice that on the one hand, he was complaining about the other footage because you didn't see a nice long shot of it all coming down in one fell swoop. And now he's complaining that you are seeing a shot of it coming down all in one fell swoop. So it sounds like nothing is going to be good enough for this guy, do you think?
Well, we did mention the goalposts on roller skates in a previous video. I think it's the same thing.
Well, and likewise, he is an American that wants to call himself Russian. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen that before.
Leave that one there.
I can't remember where I've seen that before, but I've seen that before. All right. Let's get back to it.
Deceived, okay? Complete insult to anyone that has a half a brain in their head. Now, again, let's take a closer look here. Just, again, nothing real about that.
Supported by
SpaceX. It's nothing more than propaganda. Now let's take a look here as well. Again, I find it interesting. It just looks completely different. I know there's other side there, of course, that we cannot see, but still, why SpaceX?
But still, the but still defense has been called. Did someone
call that you can't see the other side of that thing, and you can't see the top of it, and you can't see what's inside of it, and you can't see what's on the backside of the camera, and you can't see what's over 5 miles away? You know, there's so much that we can't see here that it's clearly fake.
Obviously, if you can't be on all sides of an object at the same time, why are we not ubiquitous? That's what he's saying.
And there's no penguins in the shot. That proves it's fake.
Obviously. I don't think we need to ask for more.
Because it sure is interesting to me.
I'm pretty sure this guy's entire existence revolves around an email.
You know what? You know what I will say? If there is much waving of cursor, I will believe his argument.
It's all darkened here.
I believe it.
You looked at it earlier.
I'm sold.
Let's take a look at that vantage point. You can see the wide of it. You know, from this perspective here, it's dark all the way around.
Back again.
Okay? These vantage points,
same stuff he's spiraling around.
This one shot. You can see the logo, and you can see the wide of it.
Yeah.
And these shots, it's completely dark up to this point.
What? Actually, I look pretty
similar.
That
it looks exactly the same.
See, this is where we need Canadas. It looks exactly the same. You know what the only difference is? What happens due to the exposure because of the light background of looking up at the sky. That perfectly explains the differences he just noted between those two vantage points.
So if you look at a cylindrical object from one vantage point, it's not going to look the same as the same cylindrical object from a different vantage point.
Okay, you just having said that, you're an Illuminati, aren't you?
No, I'm a Freemason.
Oh, I'm sorry, I confused the two. And
yeah,
I meant to say Illuminatus.
I'm a 33, not a 66.
Got you.
I'm still working my way up to Illuminati.
And I apologize for referring to you as plural. Illuminatus, not Illuminati.
Damn, I should have caught that one as well.
Didn't mean to refer to you as plural. Okay, we're closing in on it. We've got like 3 minutes left. Nice.
More than fakery. That's all SpaceX is. Nothing more than propaganda.
Yeah.
But of course, there's going to be those that are going to rage, of course, and say I'm ridiculous, I'm crazy. No, you just deceived.
Actually, weren't we saying that? Yeah, I think we are, and we're still saying that right now.
Ridiculous and crazy, bro.
Yeah,
got that. For once in his prior discussion, he was actually correct.
Absolutely, Russian Vids, you are ridiculous and crazy. There, I've said it just as you predicted.
You don't know it. That's it.
Pictures of stuff.
Pictures of stuff. Up, there it is. Falcon 9, 33. Okay. This better not be.
Why isn't he saying anything about 11?
I don't know. This better not be copyrighted music. That's all I'm thinking. Because if I get copyright violation based on this tune, I will be very unhappy.
This is, again, pretty redundant if you follow my channel covering
interference.
Oh,
I don't think that's an actual melody or tune. That's just interference.
Okay, all right, I'm good with that. Plus, by law, you're allowed, I think, 8 bars. Anyway, all right. Here we go. He's talking.
All
again.
these fabricated hoax rocket launches supposing to space. And unfortunately, the masses have piss poor discernment. They're easily deceived by a simple rocket launch.
Any of you guys got piss poor discernment? Anybody? Anybody?
Yeah,
Hands
a
up.
bit there.
I think my discernment's okay. All right, moving on.
Launch that does nothing more than crash in the ocean. That's all you need to show is, again, that footage of the rocket launch itself. And all you need after that is, again, basically nothing more than CGI footage. That's enough to convince the millions upon millions of mindless zombies throughout the world that this
what
is
in the
legit.
world
A
did
complete
that
joke, a
random
complete insult if you have a brain in your head.
flag have to do with any of what he's talking about now?
I'm not entirely sure. Also, I was wondering why he needed to inject that little tune into the middle of all this. I have no idea. And
I'm guessing it has something to do with the whole Soviet takeover, and obviously he's a plant.
All right.
I don't know. I'm just making shit up at this point because the guy's completely the frick Looney Tunes.
Pretty much. Do
I qualify? Which one of us do you think is the most zombie-like and mindless of us currently watching his video? And are we not close zombies by the fact that we've sat through this?
Well, you know, RJ, I gotta be real honest. I think all of us have way too much brain activity trying to deduce what it is that this guy is saying to come anywhere close to qualifying as being incarnated dead.
Yeah, you know, we have this fascination of wanting to like hear evidence being presented for an argument and having something other than just this pronouncement that things look fake to this person. And yeah, I guess we of the zombie world aren't using the same standards that he does.
So it would seem.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. I'll just stop there.
All right. Well, the good news is we're at less than 2 minutes from the end of his foolishness. And as I recall, Russian
got some
Vids,
pretty pictures of a rocket ship there, though, don't we?
Indeed. And if I remember Russian Vids correctly, usually the last minute is full of just music and a bunch of memes. So we might get off easy on this one. Let's see.
Yeah, easy by comparative terms.
How do you balance science with science fiction? They're both the same. Science and science fiction.
All right, he's done this before. We're skipping past William Shatner just for copyright. Yeah, no, there will be no screaming con. That will definitely get us a copyright violation. No, sorry.
Penguin!
All right. Here we go. We'll start. Oh, we know where this is from. What was that, Roddy Piper? He's not nearly so big on screaming copyright. Yeah, see, tunes and memes. We got nothing. We're at 1235 out of 1302. It's going to be this till the end. Yeah. Do you notice how Russian Vids said never has open comments? All right, that's it. Congratulations.
We made it.
You have all made it through a Russian Vids video while retaining a fair amount of your sanity. I congratulate you all.
Consciously similar to the content of the other Russian videos. It's almost like this guy has only one half of a thought in a half-wit brain.
So you're basically saying this is the same video as the last Russian Vids video we've seen.
It's just slightly edited and does have some of the same imageries and all the same point. And of course, we do have that same number 33 popping up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
without any explanation of what the hell any of it's supposed to mean.
And it is funny how much stock he puts into a freeware app that is basically designed to keep you interested. So, alrighty, that
the cat's laser pointer thing again.
Yep, it is. Let's see, 2 hours and 50 minutes. We've been going for quite a while. I would suggest once again we push off homeopathy because, I mean, let's be honest, we all know homeopathy is crap. we can safely push that one off.
Well, and remember my little fact checking video I did on that.
We can. I think we can skip that for this week. And let's see, how long is that? I think that's 23 minutes. 23 minutes will take us another 2 hours. Maybe we'll save that for another week. All right. Well, we made it through 2, which is a traditional double feature. That's good. I say we call it there. What do y'all think? Is that good?
Indeed.
All right.
Covered a lot of ground. I think we're good.
Oh, we did.
Decent job.
And Cara, thank you for suggesting we call it at 10 with that first one.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
Definitely appreciated.
I took the suggestion from chat, so that's where I got that one.
Oh, okay.
Well, you said we're only on 9. I'm like, okay, 21 questions at double the time. Let's call it at 10.
Really, honestly, as cool as the people in the public chat are, they would not have sat through twice as much crap as we suffered through. They just wouldn't have, and I wouldn't expect them to. So, hey, Tao's joined us. Howdy, Tao.
Oh, then he shows up.
Hello, guys.
At the end.
Oh, he was
Hey,
active.
Tao.
He was active in the chat. He was not. Elsewhere. He just wasn't in here
we've
commenting.
missed his presence.
Oh, absolutely, I agree. So, also I saw. Oh, there's Paul in the chat. Nice. Paul, you're gonna have to jump in to do your shameless plug, and you do have to do one because of the latest release.
I've been wanting him to comment because he mentioned one of my videos on a question on that, and I was hoping I could get him over to the tip site so we could actually communicate back and forth on that, on the marshaling people for combating creationism better.
Alrighty. Well, Paul, if you're listening, jump in. And like I said, that's 2 things. 1, RJ needs to have a brief conversation, and 2, you need to promote the video you put out this morning on that wonderful subject. That excellent movie is Genesis History. So hop in if you can. If not, I'll do my best. Okay, we have reached that time. It is once again time for the shameless plugs. Something nobody loves talking about themselves, but you have no choice. All right, and I just go in the order of what I have at the bottom of my screen, which, Andy, that puts you up first. Why don't you tell us how cool you are and what we should do to help you in your efforts? You're off.
Well, yep, I am off mute. Good. Awesome. I am awesome in my own respects.
We've often said that. We call them awesome all the time.
Gave up on the big telescope for a little while because I wound up finding a 6-inch f/15 lens made back in I want to say it was 1924 manufacture date on this lens set, and it kind of left me with no other choice but to acquire the lens and do my best. I don't think it's actually going to work out as a functional telescope, but I'm still going to try. So another meaningless endeavor into the world of looking at faraway lights. It should be fun.
So you've got so you mentioned a lens. You've got a refractor project coming up, not a reflector. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I do. With gotta love alcohol.
I know.
Makes
Too many.
it buttery and a little slow.
Too many calls for squawk. We got you. Go ahead.
So yeah, this is a refractor. It's a doublet lens. It's uncoated. It's, from my perspective, a little bit archaic. It sounds like the lens itself was originally ground around 1920, 1925, somewhere within that era.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's the bare naked lenses themselves. It's not, there's no housing, there's nothing. It's just two pieces of glass. And I'm gonna do my best to try and turn that into a functional F-15 doublet.
All right, I got to tell you, we're going to expect to see some, at the minimum, pictures of that effort, and really, we'd like to see videos. Is that okay?
There will be picture, there will be video as well. It's going to be an interesting one. It's like I say, it's a very old lens set. I'm not sure exactly what the condition is. I haven't received the parcel yet. It was a random surplus purchase that was buy it now for $1 and hope it works out.
Well, that's familiar with that. That's I mentioned earlier, Edmund Scientific. There are many things of that sort. I'm curious with a lens of that era, what they did for color correction, because refraction is not quite as cool as reflectors with respect to divergence to the various frequencies of light. Refraction is a little.
Absolutely, I think that's the whole reason why it's such a large F number. Being an F-15, I think was, from research I've done and from school and everything else, from without our abilities to having triplets and gas-gapped doublets, things of that nature, the larger the F ratio on a doublet, the more you can correct for the color spectrum differential when it comes to refractors that are really large in apparatus. And it doesn't seem like a 6-inch is a very large telescope this day and age, but for a refractor as opposed to a reflector, a 6-inch is actually pretty damn big.
I would tend to agree.
That's a big piece of glass.
All right. And the images and/or video, where are we going to see them?
Those are probably going to wind up on the Backyard Science page on G+.
There you go.
It's great page. I think a lot of the people that are already here tonight are there or have been invited. If you haven't been, shoot me a link on Twitter or a message on Twitter, and I'll send you a link via Twitter. There's a lot of awesome stuff taking place on there. Everything from experimentation with, can we make a condenser that, there are other people's experiments. I'm not going to speak for them, but there's a lot of really fun homemade stuff happening there. A lot of great do-it-yourself that's not make your house cool, but what cool stuff can I do with the stuff around my house?
Indeed. And we should add that it's not just a group for people that are already doing these experiments. It's for people that are interested in or would like to start doing their own science in their backyard. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
nice.
A couple of us are all obviously already active in doing some weird science as we feel the necessity, but the major purpose behind it is to help other people that are interested in getting into a science experiment of any kind, be it outfitting a trailer with an air conditioner, to I want to build a telescope, or hey, I found a microscope on eBay, can you help me make it work? It's not a we're scientists, hear me roar. It's a place for science to allow to roar.
Indeed, it's like with the with the Buster video we did on Equinox. It said science is for everybody. Everybody
exactly.
Everybody's capable of joining.
We can all enjoy it. Everyone can enjoy it. Everyone can take part. I'm sure most everyone has some kind of project they've been tinkering with, thinking about. We all have that thing. It's innate. It's normal. Backyard science is just a place to, gather advice about stuff. If you're working on a Raspberry Pi project, or you want to figure out a better way to drive a servo motor, who cares? We're just here to enjoy the experience of creating something new.
Plus, you might inspire others, which is the real benefit. If you can get someone who is interested in the world and in science and in the universe, but who's never actually tried anything, when they see that it is possible for the average citizen to do so, there's a benefit in that. It makes the world better for everybody, I think. So,
indeed.
All right. Well, God damn it, that was an effective. That was a very effective plug there, sir. Well done.
Many thanks, Si.
All right. Now on to someone who does not like doing this sort of thing. Cara, you want to tell us how cool you are and where we should go to see your whatever you did? Just tell us about you. How about that?
So far, I've always been either the first or the second person. Gosh darn.
That's because we like you.
Science enthusiast, atheist. I'm over at Earth Discussions quite often. I have a channel on YouTube. I don't have anywhere near as many videos as I would like to have on YouTube. Because just as Mr. Andy here has said, there's quite a few projects I have in the works, but they're all in the works. You know how it is.
Many balls in the air, absolutely.
But regardless, yes. I think that's about it, really.
All right. Well, very good. Do you want to say what your YouTube channel is? Did you get it?
I could send it to you again?
Yeah, send it to me. I'll put it in the description. That's fine.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm linking you a number.
All right. Thank you, Cara. I know how much you hate talking about yourself. You've expressed it every time it's come to your turn. But I appreciate you doing so. All right. On that note, RJ, if you wouldn't mind telling us about you, tell us about your activities, where we can look into your activities, and how we can help. Go right ahead.
Oh, boy, can I use the help. I've been building a new way of approaching the creation evolution issue from a source methods direction, which nobody else has really gone into in quite the way that I have. And in fact, right while we've been doing all of this shtick tonight, I've been putting in information from science and news technical arguments for my work. So I've been multitasking at the very same time. I've got a website, the Troubles in Paradise website, www.tortucan.wordpress.com, where Paul can drop off his comments. I have a video channel now where I'm doing occasional videos. The idea would be that anybody has questions about creation evolution issues, they can contact me at tip or tweet me on Twitter, and I'll be happy to do a spot video on describing things and talking about whatever kind of evidence and discussions it's going. I've also managed to produce the Kick Butt book on the creation evolution issue, Evolution Slam Dunk on the reptile mammal transition.
I have it.
This is something that, have you been looking into it? Have you been reading the little bastard?
Indeed, but I'm not giving out any secrets, so go ahead.
Well, can you agree that it is a kick butt book?
Like there was any doubt. We've been listening to you for weeks and weeks and weeks. Do you think anybody has any doubt?
I can sure use a lot more sales on the little bastard because finances are trouble. I've got the GoFundMe and a Patreon that so far nobody has Patreoned yet. So that would be really nice, neat. But the book itself as well, I can tell you that it's detailed enough. If you look in your own copy there, Si, about coprolites and mammal hair from the Permian, that information working paleontologist Christine Janis had not known about. And she is revising her mammal book, brand new book, because of the information that she got out of my book. I'm that far ahead of the game on this that I can actually impress a PhD paleontologist. If you don't know diddly squat about creationism, you'll get up to speed on it. You'll have one of the most spectacular cases of macroevolution that you could ask for. You'll know all the science evidence. And not only that, you'll have a shooting gallery of every single anti-evolutionist who has ever shot their mouth off on this subject. And you'll know, just like we've done with our little snarkings here, you'll know all the reasons why they have their head up their ass. There's no place anywhere on the internet or anywhere else that you can get all this information in one place. I done the book on it because nobody had done it before. So I want as many people as possible to have the damn thing because it's a good work on the one hand, and I need the money to be able to get by because I'm on a Social Security thing. I'm not on any big budget. I don't have independent wealth. I don't have inherited anything, so I just got to scrape along. And I depend on the support of people around there. So far, only 130 people on the planet have ever actually donated. And by the way, Si, thank you. You're one of those 130 who have actually ponied up a little money for #tip. But I could sure use a hell of a lot more.
It's well deserved.
If you're thinking about getting another other T-shirt or some type of thing where you got disposable income, anyway, I can use it. Damn it.
There we go. Nice presentation, RJ. And I will say, when considering whether you should go be a patron or on Patreon or go to the GoFundMe for RJ, consider the amount of information he gives out for free and has been doing for a very long time. And he has not tied that to the level of contribution. So I would encourage you all to do so. All right. Is that pretty much covered, RJ?
Well, other than the fact that if they don't do it, it doesn't get done. I'll just add the project that I've been talking with Paul about. He came on with the little video that I did on that, and I don't stop off and look at the videos on YouTube to see who's commenting on them all that often because one thing I don't want to tinker with the viewer rates to find out what that is. I pop in all the time. Anyway, I had to message him that he should contact and put this point in at the tip site. The issue is that we've got.
I'll reach you there.
Yeah, that we've got thousands of people within our various networks that are following us that probably are in most states of the union and other places. And it's important that we should start building a grassroots network to connect up people to combat creationism and pseudoscience and climate skepticism and that's going on as we speak in state legislatures and a lot of other stuff. If some idiot tries to support an anti-science thing in Congress, any member of their state is a constituent. They have a right to probe them, asking what their sources are, calling attention to the media on these things. And unfortunately, the kinds of methods approach that could pull the rug out from under them, maybe a little better than what we've been doing. We haven't been doing because we've been talking too much philosophy rather than the source approach. And by having lots of people all over the country, I had to miss a chance. There was a Answers in Genesis conference in the University of Montana just a little while ago. That's a state university, and they had a presentation on that campus. I would have loved to have attended the damn thing, but I couldn't scrape up in a way to be able to get there. And the local skeptics in Missoula didn't know that that was happening. That kind of lack of connection to where we're letting these things slide along on the radar that really does matter in a way that flat Earth doesn't, is something that we have no right not to be able to do better, because we're in the 21st century. We've got instantaneous communication. We have the ability to network at an incredible speed and to put information to bear at an incredible speed. So we got to get together, hopefully, and do something while we still got a science institutions to keep to preserve.
Indeed.
Off soapbox.
All right. Well, that was a damn nice presentation on the soapbox. All right. Moving on. We are hopping over to Paul, who I have privately stated makes better videos than I do. And now I'm publicly stating it. Paul, tell us how great you are and what new thing may have come out this morning that people should pay attention to.
Well, I was going to say that my YouTube channel is James Downard and that you should all go there. But,
say it.
Nice. Mine too. Everybody go see RJ.
And while you're there, look for the latest installment of Is Genesis History. We are on, what chapters did we post today? 5 and 6?
5 and 6 are up, yep.
We're half done. This lovely movie. Yeah, today's videos were fun. So if you for some reason haven't checked those out, you can if you're here, you know Size Channel, so go find the playlist on his, and I believe you can. I believe it's on his playlist. You can scroll through all of them.
Yep, playlist is updated.
Yeah, and you will find Size Channel on my playlist because I'm one of the subscribers to yours as well. So the more we connect, the better it is.
I agree.
I've got tons of ideas, James. We're gonna figure something out. Yeah, that's me, Paulogia. I wasn't here for any of the painful videos, so I don't feel like I can say any more.
Damn smart guy. All right. Well,
so where do we go for
that? For the Is Genesis History, well, Sai and I have split
the search for that.
So I'm at Paulogia, Paulogia, but on Sai's channel, he has a playlist with both of our alternating videos.
Oh, good.
Dueling banjos, as it were.
Yes, we've kind of teamed up on this one because it's too much insanity for one person to tolerate.
I'd put my little 2 cents in on the stuff in relation to some of the Grand Canyon material. I was glad to be of help on that.
Indeed. Stellar performance too. All right, Paul. Anything else you'd like to add? You can say how cool you are. I mean, if you don't, we're gonna say it.
So if you go to comic shops tomorrow for Free Comic Book Day, I may have written a comic that is out in for Free Comic Book Day tomorrow, so you can go find that too.
Well, that's interesting. All right. Very good. Well, thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, moving on. Oddly enough, our good friend Steve McRae, you have jumped in. Thank you for jumping in.
I got here late to the party. I just wanted to be with the cool kids like you and Tao and Paul and James and Cara and everybody else. That's all I wanted because I missed the thing, so I couldn't sleep.
You're always in our thoughts anyway.
Well, you're in my thoughts too.
Oh, I'm honored.
But I love all you guys' channels, so peace. I love it.
Well,
that's all I gotta say. I can't. Wasn't here for the main presentation, so I can't just do shameless plugs for my channel.
No. There'll be none of that, young fella. Yeah, there'll be none of that. You are here, therefore. No. You will tell us how cool you are and what we can find on your channel and what your channel is.
If people don't know my channel by now, they don't give a damn.
Of course they do.
They just don't. I don't know. Steve McRae, Great Debate Community. James, Paul, Cara, Sidestrike, Tao, all you guys been to my channel. Come visit us. We're one big happy family. But hey, Paul, I will tell you though, good job on some of your stuff lately. Even better than usual. Just loving it.
Cool. Thank you.
So brilliant. Continue on.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Steve. And everybody, please remember how cool Steve is. All right. Tao, you know what's coming. Tell us how cool you are. Tell us about your latest vid. And you're on.
I'm Tao City Alpha. I do stuff and things for a living, more manage things and stuff for a living. And when I have some free time, I do some flat Earth videos. I made a series called Flat Earthers Full Retard Mode. It's on my channel, Tau City Alpha, and go see it. And if you like it, like it.
I love that series.
Great
you
series,
know I hit every one of those, Tao, right?
Sorry, what?
I said you know I hit every one of those, Tao, right?
But not as much as Steve ate them.
I just hate everybody, so it doesn't really matter, right?
No, I didn't say hate. I said hit. I watch every one
I don't
of
hit
those.
anybody. No, I'm not violent.
All right.
No, but
I'm a lover.
Steve began to count the amounts of neuron left on his brain.
About 3.5.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Okay, now it's 3.
Let's see who's left here. Where's my friend the mole? Tell us how cool you are, young fella.
I'm not that cool, but I do have a channel. I do mostly live streams. I'm kind of a atheist, skeptic, history buff kind of guy. I'm still working on the finer points of editing, so hopefully I should have a video up soon. That's about all I have to say.
All right, we'll be looking for that video. Very good. All right. Crap, I'm the only one left. All right, on to me. I have a channel. You may be familiar with it. Glad you joined us. Like Paul said, we put out 5 and 6 today of Is Genesis History Science? And a little spoiler, it's not. You can find the playlist on my channel. Aptly named Is Genesis History Science, and it includes any of the videos made by either Paul or myself in response to this absolutely ridiculous film that I actually sat through. Yes, I actually went to the theater and sat through it. That's about it for me. There we go. That's it. Having concluded the shameless plugs, I will ask, does anyone else have any closing comments for the evening?
One quick one.
Not all at once.
My kid cloak.
I've got to be real honest.
Yes?
I have no idea how in the world you sat through Is Genesis History.
Oh, you don't know the worst of it.
I would have ripped my hair out, thrown parts of my own body into the theater, and potentially committed a crime throughout the process.
You know what saved me? I was scribbling notes the entire time. Which that's what did it. Focusing on the scribbling of notes distracted me from the urge to first off run screaming from the theater, and I had more motivation than just the film. I was seated next to, keep in mind, I'm in New Jersey. The height of New Jersey is basically what in the whole conservative liberal arguments is Liberalville. In New Jersey, apparently, we have AIG, Answers in Genesis, teachers in New Jersey. I don't know how they got here. I don't know how it happened. But I was seated next to one. And
remember in Colorado, even though we apparently smoke pot all day, every day, we also have the school that taught ham and gave him a PhD out of a trailer.
Oh, right. Yeah, Patriot.
We can't even figure out whether or not we want to get high or get dumb.
15% of American high school science teachers are young Earth creationists, and that's true across the board. So the odds are that any given state is going to have a few creationist teachers in them, no matter what.
Thank you for frightening me even more, RJ. Thank you very much.
Yes, you can find all that data and all those sources at my tip site. Oh, I suppose I should shamelessly plug I've got a goddamn novel too, The Paralogs of Phileas Fogg, which if you like mystery, science fiction, steampunk, any of those neat stuff, it's a science fiction retelling of Around the World in 80 Days and a bunch of other else. And I've been also getting nice reactions on that and need more sales. It's a rip-snorting adventure story that is also historically accurate.
There we go. All righty. That was your sequel to the shameless plug. Nicely done. All right.
Installment.
All right. Well, everybody in the panel, I'd like to thank you for coming. Everybody in the public chat, thank you for coming to watch us again. We couldn't do this without you. And, I should mention, I have a Patreon channel. Go to RJ's instead. You all just keep showing up and providing your valuable input in both public chat and hell, if you ever want to join the panel, just let me know. That's good enough. Other than that, we're good. All right.
Thank you, Cy.
No, thank you all for coming.
It's purely non-sexual. Well, okay, maybe a little sexual, but
oh my! Oh, I'm getting the red cheeks over here.
I'm just here for the song.
Calm down, Steve.
Fabulous. Come on.
Uh-oh, sounded like Paul is demanding the pug. But
Pug.
All right,
pug.
So nobody needs unicorns to decompress from all that foolishness, right? We're good.
No more unicorns.
No more unicorns.
No more
and,
unicorns.
And no angel cloaks.
No,
all right.
Penguins now.
All right. Here comes the pug. Thank you, everybody. Couldn't do it without each and every one of you. Here we go. Look at that happy face. Ignore that. Go take care of RJ.
I'm desperate.
We gotta keep you going, Chief.
I mean,
is it too late to say drink?
I know it might like fight, but if anyone's interested in taking a look at backyard science, we are doing a lot of fun stuff there, and it's all homemade. It's a lot of fun. All do-it-yourself science project.
Andy, send me the. I know I should be able to just go because I'm a member. I should be able to just get the link. Send me the link. I'll include that in the profile too, in the description too.
Deal. I'll send you another link.
You rock.
As do you, my friend.
See, I would be able to add it myself, but all of you bastards kept yelling squawk every 5 minutes.
Well, there was frickin' ninja penguins with lightsabers.
Absolutely. Hey, look at the bright side. At least there was no Ken Ham.
Yeah.
That is true. I was able to stay awake tonight.
I don't say this often, but yeah, praise the Lord.
Oh, did I tell you guys I've got this song? I added it to the USB stick for the music for the new Indian motorcycle, which has a kick-ass 300-watt stereo.
Yes, every week you tell us that.
I'm telling you again, goddammit.
Some stories have to be told over and over.
Absolutely. Oh, best part of the song. This is where you open the throttle and go up to about 120. Local police are not very fond of that.
Or 145.
Thanks everybody for watching, and thanks everybody for participating in the panel.